Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. Your host Superman in the house for another day of crypto. Boy, yesterday, and we've got absolute pearlers out today for the first day of the stock market. Of course, Monday we had the big digital asset treasuries are making major plays. We're going to talk about Michael Saylor and strategy with their capital management plans, the good and the bad from that, and then we're going to get into the Ethereum. Digital asset treasuries looking strong, even though the prices are down. They actually looking pretty good. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get into the big launch, of course, of LibertySwap, guys. They have announced the launch of their wallet web app. It is now live, so that basically means that the ZKX wallet is everywhere, and that's huge. And this is going to be a wallet of everything, and a wallet that is everywhere. So everything and everywhere, that is the main theme there of LibertySwap. It's going to have the greatest of all the DeFis as they roll out and hook in all that sweet high-end protocols into one app. So that's pretty exciting on Pulse Chain. We're going to talk about that. And, of course, the Monster Thread, guys, number 60 is out. 60 weeks of the hottest Pulse Chain news is out. We're going to quickly go over that. I may even do a special show on that later on. We'll see. We'll see later on in the day. But that is pretty exciting there for MVS Crypto, the editor-in-chief, working hard on that. Very, very exciting. So we've got lots in store. We're going to start off with the stock market to kick it off. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys haven't subscribed, subscribe on the way in. Smash the follows and repost the show on X. That helps a lot there. And pump your own bags, all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the stock market results overnight and see how we got on there. And don't forget to get in the comment section as well. Say hello and all that good stuff. We love an engaged community. So US stock futures are steady with tech rebound. Rand talks in focus. So we got the S&P pretty much flat at the moment for the futures. But the actual results overnight from Monday, we got the Dow Jones up 0.6%, 306 points to 52,182. So that's pretty good. We look over the last year, you can see that we're still up at near the all-time highs. Looking at the S&P 500, we are up 1.2%, 86 points, I should say, to 7,440. And we are just off the all-time highs just a little while back. So I think we got up to, probably about 140 points below. Now, look, we've got rates of people talking about the end of the year target for the S&P 500 being, 7,800 to 8,000. That's kind of in the Tom Lee mark. And then we've also got other people talking about 10,000 on the S&P 500 by the end of the year. So, that's a big rally in the second half of the year. So we're looking forward to that. That's all we can say. Hey, we got Manitok in the house there. Big shout out. Howdy. Good evening, all. Always appreciate the stream. You're streaming. You're most welcome. And Manitok, great to see you in the chat as well. Leading the way. So we got the NASDAQ there with all the tech companies up 2%, 522 points to 25,820. And we can see that we just come off the highs just not too long ago in the beginning of June. Up at 26,850, let's say. So we're about 1,000 points below that right now. All right, so looking at the volatility index, that's come down. So we've got more risk on, obviously, with the markets green, down 4% to 17.65. So we're getting there. And then, of course, the dollar index there is still holding up relatively strong, 101. And that does seem to be fitting in with the White House's strategy of a stronger dollar. We've seen that on a number of things. Obviously, stable coins with US-backed treasuries is one way of strengthening the dollar there, putting more demand. Another one, of course, is all the oil countries like Venezuela, Iran, using US dollars, all that good stuff, and countering, of course, China and India and places like that, India and Russia that are, doing up to their own games, right? So we got Russia and China, of course, that sort of allied together in a loose alliance. You got to remember, it's when the bad guys are trusting each other, it's always tricky, right? And then you've got India trying to play the neutral game, but on massive imperialism in the world at the moment. So not many people talk about that, but India is doing massive imperialism right now in the world, particularly the West. And so we're going to see how that plays out in the future as well. The globalists are playing into all that. So we've got the dollar index right now is looking kind of strong. So the strategy is getting clearer there. Commodities, so we got West Texas is down 0.2%, 50 cents almost at $70.28. So still over $70, but we're coming down. That risk premium is still got a bit of risk premium there, maybe somewhere between $10 and $15 left to go. We're way down from $110, so about $40 down. maybe about $10-15 to go to get rid of that risk premium. Super green indicator, highly inverse correlation to Ethereum, and so this is a bullish sign for Ethereum moving forward, guys. So this is just one of those early leading indicators for us. Brent oil there is down a little bit as well at $73.56. That's got I think a little bit more work to do. And of course, last year we're pretty much down almost where last year's prices were. But the lowest prices were in December, and that was around about $59-60 there. So we've got a little bit of work to do there, but essentially we're down. You can see that risk premium. See, if you look at that chart there, it's pretty much all gone. We're almost there, not quite out of the woods, but getting there. And you can already see that we've got the Iranians wanting to have more chats with the Americans as well. Now, there's a bit of a longer game played here, right? Up to the midterms and then after the midterms. So, obviously leading into the midterms in November, it favors Iran. But of course, Trump's playing a counter game to that and dragging that out. And then, of course, after the midterms, then all hell can break loose again, right? So remember that. And there's 2 years of hell breaking loose. And the Iranians don't want that game. They don't want that game, right? So that is very important right now, and they are under economic stress, right? Economic stress right now. So it's going to be an interesting little game in a few months. The Iranians really only got a few months to play out their little tit for tat game they're doing at the moment. All right, so what have we got there at the moment? Gold at the moment down 1.3%, $51 to $3,988. So gold under a lot of pressure. Look at that. So that's the last year chart there. And we're rolling down. We're back into October last year's prices. Of course, that was the peak of the crypto market move last year. And we are going down. So it's rolling over. And breaking 4K is very important right now. So this is not looking great for gold. The next level is probably, I don't know, 3,700, somewhere like that, 36, 3,700. So we'll be watching out for that. We got silver at the moment down 1%. Also at a key level support here back in November last year. The next way down there is possibly to 53. So another $4 or $5, and then down from there, maybe down to $48, breaking the $50 mark there. Silver coming down. Now, obviously, silver is going to be, and gold are always going to be used increasingly so at a certain percentage every year as they go forward. Gold's doing about, I think, adding about 1% to supply a year. Silver about 10%, but demand is probably going to be higher than that. So we are expecting these still to continue to do well. Because there is fundamental use, but that speculative premium, that big run up, is being rolled over, right? So you can see that in the chart. Copper we're expecting copper to do well, and in fact, it could be one of the best performers this year, next year. Copper, of course, going into the modern economy, used everywhere. Obviously, we've got massive energy rollouts, all that sort of stuff. All those sort of technologies use a lot of copper, so we're expecting that to continue to do well. Possibly one of the better moves on the old copper there. So that is where we are with the markets. Looking forward here, let me just scroll down here. Iran talks. Investors mostly look past the flare up in the US Iran talks. So the market's sort of, getting just absorbing that, right? As long as there's not a major, remilitarization, at least now before the midterms, right? So who knows what could happen next year and so forth. Obviously, we'd rather have the Iranian people move to back to what they had before the revolution 50 years ago, or 47 years ago, I think it was, exactly, 79, and get back to a modern society like they were. Because remember, Iran was called Persia for most of ancient history, right up to modern times. I think it only got changed to Iran in, about 1938 or somewhere in that ballpark, a little fuzzy on that, but that is when they got called Iran. But of course, the Persian people, have contributed particularly to science in different areas like astronomy and mathematics, particularly of areas that contribute there. And of course, typically being quite free. They're different from Arabs, right? So they've actually been quite, they've had quite big empires as well. So they've kind of been pretty key players there. And so they're wanting to get back freedom, right? They're kind of different. They're quite a different category. There's about 90 million in Iran, if you remember, obviously broken up into certain tribes. But at the moment, the regime's only run by about 10% of the population. The rest of the 89% are against the regime. So, we're wanting to see them get the freedom, right? Get the freedom. They want to have a modern Western style. If you go look at back in the previous videos, previous time, they were wearing modern Western, kind of outfits, and they were very happy and free. and of course they had the regime came in. These apocalyptic extremists. And look, they've killed just, I don't know how many, but probably hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people. I'm not sure what the number is. This year, they killed about 40,000 of their own people. And this is what they've offered the Iranian Persian people, right? So they're really wanting to change the game. And so I'm hoping that is a downstream outcome of the attack on Iran, as well as obviously getting rid of the nuclear threat, which they would use the nuclear threat there. If you remember what Hamas did on October 7th in Israel, they're capable of quite a significant evil. So it's a good thing to get rid of that nuclear bomb there. And they've got this apocalyptic end time kind of thing where they want to destroy the world for Islam and all that. Their version of Islam. Remember, there's two major schools of Islam. So the Shias and the Sunnis. So you got all this stuff in the background going on there. All right, so that's kind of where we are right there. So hopefully we'll get some good progress there. The US and Iran traded strikes over the weekend, but agreed to cease hostilities on Monday. Oil prices rose marginally on the development, but remained at pre-war levels there. So we're going to keep looking at that and see that tit for tat. We've got obviously quite a bit of gaming going on there, and obviously the calming markets is good for crypto pumps. So we'll keep looking out for that. All right, let's just have a look at the calendar for this week. Actually, the economic calendar. We've got all the manufacturing index stuff coming out this week. Remember, and so we'll just quickly look at that. That's going to be pretty important. So this week, you guys know that we talked about the oil prices coming down, being very bullish for crypto, very lead indicator. We've also got the manufacturing indexes in expansion for the US economy. So that's the other big bullish theme that we want to see. So everything is actually leading in the right direction for crypto, guys. Obviously, we've had a lot of AI and the stock market suck out the money, the capital, and we've got these IPOs as well. But actually, we've got the fundamentals actually looking really bullish for the crypto environment. So we've got the ISM manufacturing coming out next week. Anything over 50 is growth. We had about 2 years where we had no growth, and then about the last 3 months or so, we've had a growth in manufacturing, and this is looking probably to be really good as well. So if we beat this forecast 53.7, we had 54 last time, then that's bullish as well. So oil prices, manufacturing index bullish for crypto, leading indicators, it should be pretty good. We got the pulse in the house there. Hey, bro, keep grinding, and thy for staying strong and true to the best of bud. I appreciate that. Big shout out to you as well, and welcome to the chat. We're sharing the same journey, so it's a fun ride here. We got to go down and up, down and then up. That's kind of the ride. All right, so we'll get there. We'll get there at the end. We also got some employment data as well, but as I suggested to you, I think what the new chair Wash is not going to care so much about employment because he's going to be a supply-side expansionist, and this is great to see this. We've been wanting this for decades, and this is going to be very exciting. And of course, that's Trump is as well, supply-side expansionist, and that means growth. And they will be able to have, because you expand the supply side and you have growth, you can keep inflation down. And of course, the only thing we're really seeing lifting in inflation, it's been rising up to at the moment is about 3.4%, has been this oil conflict, which is about 2.5 months along at the moment. We can look at in the oil chart. So you can imagine that just flying along, and we've just got to absorb that. And then we could see actually underlying inflation actually dropping. And then with AI and robotics and other things, automations and things like that, actually bring down the costs. This is going to be a very deflationary time, perhaps as well. So low to negative inflation and economic growth, a big deal there. And I'm particularly talking about the US, right? Because a lot of the Western countries got globalists running them, Marxists, and they're destroying those countries, including my own country of New Zealand. And so those are in a big trouble. But the United States, looking hot, guys. If you're in the United States, congratulations. Of course, there's a few exceptions like California and New York, which are heading towards a Marxist and Islamic takeover. But excluding that, it's doing pretty well. And obviously, Florida is a standout there. All right, so that's kind of where we are right now. Let's jump over into the crypto markets and see how we got on. So obviously, stock market did well. Well, crypto markets not too bad either. We did have a rally overnight in the crypto market, relatively speaking. It got sold off an hour ago. So remember, crypto stock markets are all manipulated. There are market makers. There are people that move on news. There are people that make the market move down. And then we have perpetuals where people short the market. There's a lot of gaming bets going on, and so we see these massive retraces. They're all very manipulated. And so you just got to know that. The other side of it, of course, is that most money is made in 10 to 20 days in the year. So if you are choosing the right part of the cycle with the right momentum, the right market makers doing the right thing, and you getting those big days, you're going to make a really great return, and you're going to outdo the market averages, right? This is true not only in crypto, but in the stock market. You will have to have timed the market very well, get the best days to outperform, and have the best stocks to outperform the S&P 500, for example. If you don't, you're likely to have a negative return, right? That's just the reality of it. So some key things to remember there in the backdrop. All right. Other than that, you can just ride the market out, right? You just invest and just pass the time, which is the other way of doing it. But you always got to remember to sell into the move, because if you try to ride over the top and it rolls over, then you hold on, waiting for it to come back, and it doesn't. And it's cry baby cry for at least a year or two, right, before it has another cycle move. All right, so let's have a look where we are. We're on 2.15 trillion, I should say. We're up 1%. Now, remember, the big calls are that the crypto market's going to re-rate to 100 trillion, 200 trillion, 300 trillion over the next sort of 3 to 10 years. Well, we're only at 2.15 at the moment. So there's big X's, basically, 40, 50X minimum that people were targeting to get to this 100 trillion market over the next few years. So just take note of that. And we're going to talk about the catalyst of why that might happen. We got the Bitcoin right now is at 59,757. We're up 0.5%. We were up higher, of course, overnight. We did just get sold off in the previous hour. So you'll see a big wick. We're going to see that in a minute. We're still down 6.7% for the week, so still not in bullish momentum. We've obviously got a lot of negative momentum in the market. Ethereum at the moment is at $1,589. We were over 1,600, but we're down. We're still up 1.3% for the 24 hours, down 8% for the week. Number 4 is BNB, up 0.6%, down 6.1% at $554. And then XRP is up 0.4%, $1.05, but still down 7.3% for the week. Solana is making a different turn, right? Solana will benefit from many of the factors that Ethereum has, although it's not as battle-tested chain. But it is up 3.8% at the moment, $74.19, 3.4% for the week. So pretty much all that is today and more on number 7. So Solana looking good there. Tron is down 0.8% for the day, 4.3% for the week at just below 32 cents there at number 8. Finally, number 10 is Hyperliquid, making a nice little move here today, up 6.7%. And that is only down 0.1% for the week, so almost flat. But is at $66. So a nice move there from Hyperliquid. And we're getting a bit of a Hyperliquid technology on Pulse Chain, right? Because LibertySwap's bringing it to us in output prediction markets and next month as well, from the looks of it, with spot and perpetuals, right? So very, very cool there. All right. So is Hyperliquid going to be a proxy for Pulse Chain technology and innovation and that? So I don't know. Let's see if LibertySwap can make it that bigger thing on Pulse Chain. All right. So that's kind of where we are at number 10. All right, so let's go to the top 100 and look at the top 5 over the last 24 hours. Well, we've got stable, USD Tether, and up 9.3%, ADI up 10%, Casper up 10%, Morpho up 8.5%, Hyperliquid 6.8% there. Those are the top 5. So pretty modest, no real big standing out there, but still a couple there. Top over the last week, well, we got a different story. We got Velvet up 226%, 16.5% for the day. We got Dera Beat there, AI 68%, 2.3% today. ADI up 26% for the week, Aave 20%, and Baldex 11% there. So a lot of trading and lending going on in the top 5. Let's go to the top ones and top 1,000. We got TAC at the moment up 162%, Unibase up 41%, and Super Fortune up 33% in the top 1,000. Trending overall on CoinGecko is United States Water. That's a little bit flat there, but the Black Bull, 21%, and Hyperliquid is the other one that's trending overall on CoinGecko. Now, CoinGecko has about 17,400 coins, whereas compared to CoinMarket, which has, 20 million? I don't know. It's a lot. I haven't checked it for a while, but it's up there. It's a big one. So very different kind of indexes there. Moving over to Bitcoin, zooming in on that, on the detail. Well, here is the weekly. We're going to actually go into the hourly chart because I want to show you the violent affections there. But we had a nice little rally. We had sort of a sell-off and then a pump. We were doing quite nicely. We got up to around about 60,500, and then we got sold down. Only the previous hour I said we got sold down, and we're back in the green hour during the live stream, which is nice to see. we've got a bit of work to do there. That's on the hourly chart there. So pretty violent sort of night. Look at that thing. Pretty ugly looking chart there for the last 24 hours. So pretty crazy. In fact, let's go back 24 hours on here. There. So yeah, that section there, last 24 hours, pretty messy, right? Pretty messy. Now, obviously, we had some big news coming out before the market opened from MicroStrategy, and we obviously had disclosures from Bitmine and SBET and everything like that. So it was pretty big news time for crypto. Let's see how that's how the market reacted, at least to the positive news. Generally positive. There's some negative stuff in there. Let's go to the daily chart. We've got obviously still down the bottom here on the old daily, sitting at 59,800. Our recent low was 58,000. So really testing the power law there. We got the 50-day moving average at 68,521 in yellow, and we've got the 200 simple moving average. So we've moved away from the exponential to the simple moving average. Exponential, weighting more contemporary prices, more recent prices than the average. And so we've got over the whole period. And so we've got the 200-day there sitting, what is the 200-day? Sitting at 75,362. So that is the Bitcoin moving averages there. But, we've been really tracking the weekly. And the weekly here, you can see the simple moving weekly average. So simple, think about it's 200 weeks, which is a proxy for 4 years, right? So kind of a proxy for a 4-year indicator. Obviously, we have the 4-year cycle. A lot of people calling October the bottom, and front running it in September, and it's kind of the oddity there. But we also have the 200 simple moving average, and anytime you kind of bought below it has been generally a smart time, right? Calling the bottom of the market any particular time. Obviously, we had an extended period in June there 22 through to March 23, where it was below the 200. But very briefly here back in August, September 2023, and now back here now at higher prices, right? Now, the mega theme we've been seeing is that a lot of individually held Bitcoin, which is the majority, is being bought out by the institutions and corporates. This is the kind of the mega theme, and that takes time to play out, and we've been seeing that particularly since the ETFs are really over the last 2 years, and that process will continue on for a couple of years at least for that dominance to switch. And of course, we've seen a lot of challenges and a lot of crazy stuff happening with the ETFs, with the digital asset treasuries, all very positive moving forward, but we're having these challenges to the way they're setting themselves up. And of course, MicroStrategy is one of those with the digital credit, right? Targeting the debt markets to pump Bitcoin. So we're seeing a lot of really exciting things happening, good and bad, but I think it's only going to be bullish long term. That's how I see it playing out. So we're going to continue on. What's a blip in the radar here? Now, we've had 3 waterfalls so far. Look at that, 1, 2, 3. We're going to get one more before October. That's the sort of 4-year cycle thing. But we're already down below this 200 moving average, this 4-year indicator. And you can see that it doesn't typically stay there that long. So we'll see whether we last through to October there before we start getting a run up. Now, will we come down? Will we come down to some of these prices? Obviously, people got 53, people got under 40s. Lots of people got different prices where they think it might go. And so that is what people are contending with over the next few months. Now, in that time period, of course, we got the Clarity Act, July, first week of August. Hopefully it gets approved. There's a lot of weight going behind it from the White House through to a lot of the senators. And so hopefully we'll get there. At the moment, they're still, believe, incorporating a lot of the changes from the Senate committees, Agriculture and Finance select committees there, so that's still to go in. And also there's stuff around ethics that, Senator Warren, all the Marxists are all corrupt, but they all pretend that they're the ones that are ethical, so the irony of it. Somehow they turn into multi-millionaires worth tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, I don't know, just magic. It's just magic. And so we've got all this going on, so we'll see how that goes in the next few months. Those are bullish catalysts, so very important there. We also have the Genius Act in July as well, potentially with regulations coming out, and also that has to be enacted by January 27, right? Fully enacted there for the Genius Act with stablecoins. So lots of bullish things happening there. Into October, of course, we have the DTCC. That's currently got 114 trillion under management, and that's pretty much dominates the waterworks system, as it were, for the trade traditional markets. That is coming to the blockchain. They are positioning to take over all the blockchain stuff, particularly Ethereum and a few other chains to dominate all that space because you want to be the infrastructure owner, right? And that's what we're seeing happen. So very, very cool. And it's in a DeFi world, so hopefully it gives us some sort of protection from, Skynet or something like that. That is the joke, right? Tintop's in the house. What's up, Tintop? Great to see you. And so here we are, 59,826. So we're going to watch that. Have we got one more waterfall to go, or are we going to survive at this level and move up to the upside? That's the question. We've certainly got indications that we could hold here, but any of these negative things compound over the next couple of months certainly plays into that 4-year cycle for October. So we'll just have to watch it as we go here. Let's get into the. I did want to say something about the monthly. The monthly was as well, but I've missed it. I just deleted it. So fortunately, yeah. Now, obviously, we've got some key players in the corporates. So we've got this big transfer between individuals to corporates. Now, corporates are kind of ETFs, and we're getting innovation there, right? With income ETFs recently, digital asset treasuries, and then of course all the independent corporates and institutions doing a lot of different stuff and partnerships and all that sort of stuff out in the market, which we see announcements, with some of the centralized exchange, all that sort of stuff. So we've got a lot of different players coming in those sort of three main segments, buying up all the Bitcoin over time, right? Obviously, we have some setbacks on the way, and we're certainly having some of those at the moment at the bottom of the market. Not surprising, kind of typical things that happen when we're down the bottom market. We always get these, crazy things happening. Well, Michael Saylor, you'd think would be kind of the buy forever guy, right? Buy forever guy. I think he's making a few mistakes for sure. Right now, I generally am very supportive of Michael Saylor and his vision, and a lot of the themes around Bitcoin, like scarcity and the first chain, and immutable code, all that sort of stuff, decentralized, all that sort of thing. But he's when you go from never selling to suddenly selling a little bit, even though it's actually, I understand what he's doing. He wants to be Satoshi accretive to shareholders. And if you're going to be able to sell any Bitcoin that is accretive to do that, then it's fine. But of course, that goes against your original mantra that you were saying that you were always going to be the forever buyer. And that is a big, big psychological positioning, right? And the market, a lot of people believe, follow that, right? A lot of people believe that. And so now he's shaking that up now. Now we can see it, the rationality for that, for being accretive to shareholders. But we're also getting a lot of sort of counter moves as well. Now, he announced today, obviously, we've been following Stretch over the last sort of 6 weeks or so, and it has struggled to get back to $100. In fact, not only that, it discounted all the way down to $75. It was pretty brutal. The market kept going down, so it was just bleeding upon bleeding. And he had to do something about it, getting a lot of pressure on him. He's becoming the bad boy, and everyone's talking about it. And he did a 32 Bitcoin sell, all these sort of things, ripping the Band-Aid off, some people say, but it is very counter to a lot of the mantra that he was saying, and that's the reality, right? They can get on screen and pretend that that's not the case, but we all know that's the case, right? So got to be a bit more frank than that. Anyway, I said over the last week, I've been talking about they need capital management, right? Better capital management. I've been talking about Strive. Now, Strive is set up by a ton of guys that know how to that have been in the bond and money markets for years, and they've run really good capital management. Right, they run really good capital management, and this is where Michael Saylor perhaps was lacking. But they've come back with the market with some capital management framework. So, surprise, surprise. Good to see, right? Good to see. Now, some of it's great, some of it's not so good. So we're going to look at it. Australia announced digital credit capital framework designed to strengthen digital credit, enhance liquidity, preserve long-term Bitcoin exposure, and support long-term value creation. So let's think about this. So digital credit is targeting the debt markets, which is, let's say, 300 trillion or so. They're able to offer dramatically higher yields. Instead of 2 to 4%, they can offer 11.5 or more percent. So they're able to offer dramatically 3-4x times the amount of yield, which is fantastic, all backed on the back of Bitcoin. So if you believe in Bitcoin, then that's a great collateral, etc. Now, essentially, some people also say that Michael Saylor is now a debt guy, right? He's a debt guy now, not a Bitcoin guy, and it does look like that a little bit. But I suggest that he's still a Bitcoin guy, but he's really just harvesting that debt market to buy Bitcoin, and that's really the ethos there. And so he's taken out a few moves to protect the old Stretch preferred stock product, targeting the debt markets there, and I think it's probably the right thing. That is the right thing I'd like to see. And the question is over MSTR, the common stock, whether he's done the right things around that and Bitcoin more broadly. So we'll talk about that in a second. preserve long-term Bitcoin exposure and support long-term value creation. So I believe that that's what he's trying to achieve with all those things. So that's kind of cool. Now we got the second one here. Strategy has increased its USD reserve to 2.55 billion, representing 17.4 months of dividend coverage. So this is good news. This is what we want to see. I think it was sitting at 9 months last week. So they've gone up to 17.4. So the US reserve to 2. This is what you want to see. This is very good. This is the really good part, because this basically is that you're really taking a lot of the wind out of shorters. Shorters are targeting strategy, trying to take, arguably, some people think take Michael Saylor down, but actually, it's this is the way you want to do it. This is sound management. This is capital management. This is what you want to. And when he paid down the convertible debts at 10-cent discount, it was a great long-term move, but short-term it was a terrible move, because the shorters were already chasing him, and the markets were already coming down. So it was a pretty bad time. And then digital credit itself came into question after 3 months of awesomeness, raising billions of dollars and buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin between February and April. Suddenly it all became dark. It went from glorious to darkness, very quickly over the last sort of 6 weeks or so. But this is smart. This is good capital management. You want to be able to say this is basic stuff, that you've got the reserves to cover the dividend yields, and then you make a stronger product, right? And then the market will calm down, and then Bitcoin, if we're bullish about it, will move back up, etc., and everything's all good, right? So this is kind of really good. I would actually like to see the dividend coverage even longer. I would like to see it. If you think about a 4-year cycle, if that's your thesis, I'd like to see this go up to maybe even 36 months, guys. Certainly 24 months, 2 years, but even 36 months. That's where I would like to see the cash management. Obviously, you're earning, you can earn yield on that while you're waiting. But I think that's, if you really want to give high confidence, I think that's probably the play to be. So we'll see what happens there. US dollar reserve may be used only for dividends and interest expense, and will be maintained for a minimum of 12 months. Well, really, I think they should be moving to a minimum of 24 months and up to 3 years of reserve. That's what I would think is pretty prudent. They're obviously still yielding yield on that cash. It's not like it's unproductive, and giving high confidence to coverage with the 4-year cycle in view. I think you can see my logic there. So I think that would be pretty cool. Now, stretch dividend rate has been increased. Now, we talked about this too. We said, we're expecting them to increase the dividend. This is part of their mathematical formula, so it was kind of already out there. But they, we were talking about they could go to 12% or more, and they have gone to 50 basis, they've done the minimum, 50 basis to 12%. Effective for record dates in July. So they've increased that dividend coverage. That gives great confidence, and now they increase the yield to close out that effective yield to nominal yield gap, and hopefully lift the price of the underlying stretch product, right? So they're protecting that stretch product big time. So this is really what they're doing here with this. We will continue to evaluate the rate monthly. Our corporate objectives for a stretch to trade over time at $99 to 100. Obviously, there's a big gap, and they're trying to close that with those two big moves about dividend coverage and a higher yield. Strategy has established repurchase programs for up to 1 billion of our digital credit securities and up to 1 billion of MSDR. This will create flexibility to accretively buy back securities. Now, obviously, the buyback program for digital asset credit securities helps push the price back up. And for 1 billion MSDR, and this is probably the little more controversial stuff, is the MSDR. Obviously, that allows them to buy back the common stock a bit and help push the price up. This will create flexibility and accretive buyback securities during market dislocations. Repurchases will not be funded from the USD reserve, obviously protecting that dividend coverage. However, let's get into the next one. Strategy has established a BTC monetization program under which we may sell BTC to fund our. This is where probably the bad news is potentially. Now, what this does give them is optionality, and optionality is very important. They need optionality, so don't disagree with that. So it's the difference between whether they have the optionality and what they actually use it for, right? This kind of thing. So USD reserve 1.25 billion, and dividend and interest expense. So I have no problem with those things. Repurchase of our digital credit securities and MSDR under repurchase programs. But here's the problem. You're selling Bitcoin. So that's the big problem. Remember, never selling Bitcoin. Now we're going to sell Bitcoin if it's accretive. I have no problem with that. If it's tax beneficial, if it's accretive in terms of the price, the average price where they purchase certain Bitcoin. But actually, just selling Bitcoin fund this is kind of the weakness, because this is your underlying asset, and this is the area that shorters will want to try and short and test test this resolve as well. So it kind of is goes against that psychology, even, and also it does impact the market to some degree. So that is kind of the test there, and when it happens, and if it happens. So there's lots of areas there. So this is probably the weakness, as we would say. It's certainly really good for optionality, so that's a big tick. And I think if you add it up with the other things, overall, it's still a very good move in capital management overall. And I think I kind of needed to do it, and they ripped the band-aid off with that 32 Bitcoin. With 2.55 billion of USD reserve and 1.25 billion of BTC monetization capacity for reserve building, Australia has 3.8 billion of dividend coverage, representing 26 months, which, as I told you, was closer to when I was talking about, which is minimum of 2 years, maybe even 36 months. So this is just over 2 years right now, with that potentiality. Although the second part will be deemed as not that great, right? The selling Bitcoin not deemed very good there. All right, so that is in the play. Strategy expects to remain disciplined in its use of MSTR issuance, particularly when the common stock trades at or near 1x MNAV. So that is the MNAV. Now, the MNAV they use is not necessarily the best one, but in any case, they're going to be hopefully accretive even compared to that. So remember, their basic breakdown is that they have underlying Bitcoin. They then have, which is their asset, but they also have store these convertible debts, and which I think is at 6.7 billion. And then they also have the amplification, right, which is the stretch product, the preferred stock, plus their other products that they have in that space as well. So this is this is where a lot of criticism has been had. Now, when obviously the Bitcoin underlying price is going down, this is negative for strategy. When the Bitcoin price is going up, it's all positive. It's all positive flywheel. But I think generally, overall, I think this is generally good for the coverage of the stretch product. And even though it puts common stock and Bitcoin under a little bit of pressure, I think actually it will end up leading to, if you can defend the stretch product, you can get back to $100. You can start raising more stretch and issue more debt, get more debt, and buying more Bitcoin. That is positive flywheel. That's where we want to be, right? That's where we want to be, I think. So that is kind of the play on that. And we'll see how it goes. So obviously there's going to be lots of different comments in the chat, positive and negative, and you can spend a couple hours going through those probably. But that's the strategy one there. I generally see it as a good thing, and it is something that I talked about in the previous week about capital management, and compared to Strive, which has obviously got guys that are been spent their lives in the money markets, debt markets, so it's kind of a natural thing for them. And Strive, obviously, I think the minimum was 18 months, I think, as well. So pretty cool on that. All right, so that's pretty much where we are. In fact, I'm going to go to Strive actually quickly and see what they've been saying, because I didn't pull that up today. We'll have a little look at Strive, which is number 7 on the digital asset treasuries. So Strive paid out their cash for starter, 5 cents per share, representing an annualized rate of $13 per share, which is 13%, which is their nominal rate. But at the moment, of course, you get a discount, so you get a higher effective rate, close to 15%, I think it is at the moment. Just unbelievable numbers if you think about it. If you're after income, most of the market's after income, right? A lot of the institutions income, a lot of the retail and cryptos after growth, right? Get the mad gains. So Strive balance sheet update. Bitcoin, they got almost 20,000, cash 141 million, stretch 37 million at the moment. So that's where they are right now. What else there? I think that's kind of it. Let's quickly go to strive.com. I don't know if they've got the stats on strive.com, but we'll have a quick look. I didn't plan on doing this, looking at Strive, but we'll have a quick look if we can. It's been a while since I've been on this site. Normally check other sites, so we'll just play around here. So you got 19,000, almost 20,000 Bitcoin. The share price of Assist, which is their common stock, just like MSTR is the common stock for a strategy. Assist there is at $11.62. Let's have a look here. We're up to there. Let's see, I'm sort of scroll down here. Their last big purchases here were the 26th of, so the 18th of June. They did 578 Bitcoin. You got the purchases down here, pretty cool. So they've done really well up until recently. Even their price, even with good capital management, their prices, had the had capitulated as well under the pressure of Bitcoin going down and strategy. Also, people were swapping probably between strategy and Strive because of the high yield, and then obviously that reverses a little bit on the way down. Let's see. I'm just trying to look for something in particular. Where is it? Their application ratio is 66%, so it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Okay, what I've got in here, I'm trying to find it, but it's not. It doesn't look like it's on this particular sheet, so I'll try and pick it up on another one. Credit here. What have they got there? What's it down here? Just looking down quickly. Okay, so they've got their actual Bitcoin coverage is like 12 years, but that's not the one I was after. So yeah, I don't know if the chart has it either. The other charts. Let me look through his charts. That's pretty much it. All right, so that's their purchases. That's their purchases anyway. I was trying to look for their interest coverage, but I think it's 18 months. I'll double check, but I think it's 18 months. Anyway, so that's their Bitcoin purchases at the moment. So they've been doing pretty well. It's been doing pretty well. All right, so let's move on into the treasuries themselves. And we can see here on Treasury, BitcoinTreasuries.net, we can see strategy at the top here, 847,000 Bitcoin on the way to a million. Well, obviously they've been, stopped at the moment after 3 months of awesomeness, February to April. But we'll see whether this capital management and Bitcoin calming down, or hopefully not going down another wave for that 4-year cycle, and just holds on from here and then maybe goes up. We'll see. That's going to be a very big determinant of whether they get, I think, back into selling more stretch, raising more debt money, and buying Bitcoin with it, right? So we're watching that. Now, the other big news we're coming later this year is Metaplanet, right? We just saw the securities get approved there. They've obviously been hit with the price as well. They were the best performer in this Japanese market, and they've been hit pretty dramatically too recently. But they're going to be, as I understand, offering the digital products as well, trying to get, and here, listen to this, they are trying to target in the Japanese market 1% of Bitcoin purchases as well. Can they do it? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But that is coming up later in the year. We've got Bitcoin Standard Treasury. They got their vote on the 2nd of July. So that's in a couple of days. And they potentially could be buying, up to probably around about, at the current price, around 23 to 25,000 Bitcoin with $1.5 billion or so. And that vote's coming up on the 2nd of July. So that's bullish too, right? Now, we need that right now in the markets. You guys know if we're going to have this upward side, like sideways or upwards, rather than this completion of 4-year cycle to October, then in another wave down, we know it's quite carnage going another wave down from here. Then that's going to be pretty important to help keep that up. Buying is the key, right? More buyers and sellers ultimately. We got a lot of market manipulators still, and then Strive, which we've just talked about, is here with just under 20,000 right now. And of course, they want to get back to selling more SATA, which is their preferred stock, into the market. So let's have a look at those digital credits. All right, so we got the two main ones that we're talking about, which is Strategy Stretch, which is here, $83.83. So remember, last week on Friday it was $75, $25 below that $100 nominal price, and they need to get to just over $100 to start issuing more stretch and raising more capital by Bitcoin, get the positive flywheel going. They have got their rate here, 11.5. Obviously, they're going to 12%. It's ex-dividend day today, isn't it? The 30th, I believe. So they've now moved to bi-monthly dividend yield. The effective yield at 13.72% right now, and the market value of that is at $8.8 billion on stretch. So we said 6.7 for convertible debt, and then with amplification, which is these products here, is another 8 to 10, probably 10 billion or so. Now they've got Strive, Strike, and Stride, all parts of strategy. And then we've got SATA, which is the Strive, right? Different company, right? Strive sitting at number 7 on the digital asset treasury. It's got it's closed the gap a little bit because it was down at 87 was it last on Friday? I think it was. It's at 92 now. The normal rate is 13%. So dividend yield, they've gone to move to daily payments. So both Stretch and SATA have completely changed the debt market game, offering these high frequency payments. They're sitting at 13%, and then the effective yield at 14% right now. So that's pretty cool. So they're getting close to $8. Can they do it? Can they do it? I'm sure they will. I'm sure it's coming. We got Flat Earth in the house there. Alpha dropping. Thanks, Superman. All in MSTR. Nice one. Yeah. Look, I don't think you can do too wrong at the moment at these levels with the Bitcoin chart below the 200 and the big dramatic pullback in strategy. Now with capital management giving a bit of upside. That being said, with the next couple of months, obviously still going to be pretty interesting. I'm talking specifically between July, August, September. And if the 4-year guys are right, then October con the bottom, but it'll get front run in September. That's kind of the logic. So somewhere in there, we're going to get hopefully the bottom, and we will move from crypto into the spring and move the upside, and we'll get positive cycle, and then all this will be forgotten, right? All this will be forgotten. But then the shorters are out there, right? The shorters are hunting the old Michael Saylor and strategy, and we'll see how they do so far. All right, we got Diamond Hand in the house there with the thumbs up. Big shout out there, Diamond Hand. Welcome to the chat as well. Big welcome. If you're new to the channels, we got a lot of cool long-term community members in the chat. But if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and smash the follow on X and repost the show. If you love, covering Bitcoin, Ethereum, and of course Pulse Chain, which is the 3 main topics, we do cover, other chains like X1 from time to time, and a few other things from time to time. But those are kind of the 3 main things. The reason why is because Bitcoin and Ethereum have 90% of liquidity going through for the digital asset treasuries, and that's where a lot of money comes. And of course, Pulse Chain is downstream from that, and really is the true DeFi privacy chain out there in the market. So we keep covering all that bullishness. All right, so that's kind of where we are on the old digital treasury. So I've got another night opening up tonight, right? It's going to be interesting to see how these perform tonight. Of course, Stretch straight there, I believe, going ex-dividend. So we'll be watching that every 2 weeks. The first time this week, I think, closing the 30th. First dividend, 15th of July. What else is pretty interesting coming up while we get into Ethereum? Well, we've got obviously the SpaceX IPO went on at $135 a share. It went up to what was it, about $225, something like that. I think it's down at about 153 right now. But they've gotten to the Russell indexes. I think the Russell 100, Russell 1000. So they're kind of in that, and that will have money flowing in, I think, over the next week or so into that. And then Bitmine will benefit from that too. But also, on the 7th, they're getting in the NASDAQ, right? So that's where we could see $300-400 billion flow into SpaceX. We're going to be watching that very closely. And that's a big capital vacuum. So we're not quite out of the woods. That's why I kind of indicated mid-July might be when we get a bit of freedom. We also got some of the other big. There's about 10 decent-sized IPOs this year, but 4 of them are the big ones, right? Where they're raising like $60-70 billion. So we've still got Anthropic AI. We've still got OpenAI, which was expected next year, but it got pulled to the end of this year, so that might even get pulled further. I'm not quite sure what the date is now, but they'll all be racing to get the hype in the market, if you know what I mean, and get earlier. And then we've also got Google, right? So surprisingly, Google's supposed to be rich, like Apple. Apple's supposed to be tons of money, right? Cash cow. But so we're watching those as well, impacts on the market moving forward. And of course, crypto has got its own AI theme playing out, and of course it is downstream from AI as well, because it's going to be the payment rails, right? AI going to use crypto blockchains for payment rails, and decentralized ones are protective, right? As opposed to centralized ones. Centralized ones you get like Skynet, and the decentralized ones, hopefully are protective against world domination. We don't need any Terminators running around. But hey, look, that's a problem for the generations down the line there. They'll have to fight the wars, right? It won't be us. We'll just see the beginning of it, right? And then they can look back and blame everybody back here or something. That's kind of the idea. All right, so that's where we are with the old ETH. This ETH is at 1585 right now on the weekly. Similar things happened, obviously, on the hourly. If we go to the hourly chart, we can see, obviously, we had a big move there. Look at that. It was pretty awesome. We were down at 1555, got pushed up to 1636. That was a pretty decent little move on the hourly overnight. It was $180, a 5% move. That was not bad. But most of it got sold back down. 2/3 of it got sold back down. So we're at 1585 again. So, it is what it is. So let's jump over to the daily quickly. Daily on the 50, which is the yellow line, is 1860. Obviously, got to get over that. And the 200 simple moving average is at 2300. We're obviously down at the bottom here with the recent low at $1,510. Previously, before that was June the 6th. We're at $1,505. So we're down and hit that twice now. So yeah, we've got to need some escape velocity to get rid of this. Maybe a nice little W forming and then up and away there. The 200-day is at 2,294. So it's the easiest for us to break free because the averages are moving down quite dramatically, right? That's the other side of it. Let's jump to the weekly. The weekly at the moment, we've got the orange line, which is a 200 simple moving average at 2,471. This is essentially your 4-year mark. So anytime buying below that has been good, right? So you can see roll the way back here over the last 5 years, all the way back to the last bull market in 21, that any time buying underneath here was kind of a no-brainer, right? You just have to be patient and wait for the market to move back to the upcycle. And of course, this year it's going to be even bullish. Now, as I say, last year, it was all doom and gloom. Imagine writing down this from December 24 all the way to April 25. You have pro-crypto president coming, but then he's rejigging the world trade order because it was long overdue. And then you get suddenly a relief rally on the tariffs. You get short cover, and then you also get the digital asset treasuries coming in to buy up the Ethereum, and all from June onwards. And you get this massive rally, 256%, 3.5x, and all in 133 days. So, if we're in doom and gloom now, just like we're in doom and gloom with these 3 water waves down, well, it can be turned around very quickly. Either maybe mid-July or maybe September. We shall see. But it's definitely looming in terms of moving to the upside there. Question is, have we got another 4th wave down, or are we done at this level? And its only way is up, baby, up, baby, up. So we'll be watching that. Now, the catalyst for moving us up, well, we've talked about this day after day. Stable coins, we've got the Genius Act regulation, presumably coming in July. It has to be fully enacted by January next year. We've got the tokenization just on takeoff phase. It's at about $33 billion at the moment in volume. And we're expecting that to hit, over $1 trillion by next year. The key catalyst for that, of course, are all the early companies coming out like Ondo, Xstocks, Nasdaq, Kraken, Coinbase, all these things flowing into this category, ramping that up. You can now trade, stocks, commodities, debt market products, ETFs, and hold them in your crypto wallet. And that's just the beginning. And now we've also got the seeding of AI agents and AI payment systems starting off. I think it was Coinbase that came out the early numbers, low volumes but high transactions. We're expecting that's the seed. I call it the seed level. We're going to get into takeoff level very shortly inside this year, and then really start to take off with the AI system as well. Probably have many more AI accounts than we will humans moving forward, and that's going to be a key theme there. The big catalyst, though, the final thing is that the big institutions from traditional markets are coming over to crypto, and we got DTCC, which controls that, dominates the water pipes over on TradFi, coming to take over the blockchain by October, and that is 114 trillion under management. And so it's game on, right? It's game on, and it seems very, very likely that once you have moved from tens of billions, going from zero, essentially close to zero last year, to tens of billions this year, maybe to hundreds of billions, to $1 trillion plus market next year, maybe into multi-trillions over the next few years, is where we're heading, right? So it seems very unlikely that the market of Ethereum, Solana, and others won't completely re-rate as the key beneficiaries of that, because you got that huge network value now, and therefore the price of Ethereum, Solana, and that will really just take off, right? That's the whole thesis there. So that's to be the catalyst for our next rise, and because that is so more powerful than the rise we had last year, if that gave us a 3.5x on tariff relief and things like that, then imagine what a fundamental shift in the underlying value of the network will have next time, and we will blow past 5K. So you might have easy magic money back to 5K, but I think that we're really going to go way higher, below past, because of a fundamental shift in the value of the network, and we'll be moving to 10 to 20K, and then well beyond that over the next 10 years, potentially up to some of Tom Lee's big numbers of 60 to 250K, obviously with Bitcoin having to move up much higher as well over time, maybe up to that $1 million by, if not as early as mid-28, then by 2030, another 18 months later, right? So we got a bit more time. We're going to have a couple of halvings by that time, by 2032, another 2 halvings of Bitcoin. We're going to go for full 50 Bitcoin per block, down to 112.50. So we've got supply dwindling away, demand increasing, and everything else is inflating in the world. Bitcoin, relatively speaking, is fixed supply with modest mining coming out. So you got all these plays, and of course, I think Some people, like Michael Saylor, doesn't think that Ethereum is going to flip Bitcoin. There's other people out there, but I think a very good chance that Ethereum could flip Bitcoin because of this fundamental economy moving onto the chain. So as opposed to debt market funding the store of value, obviously, if we get the White House wanting to buy Bitcoin, or they're going to come in and buy 200,000 Bitcoin a year, that's a very different story. And we'll be watching that wild card there too, moving forward, because people are trying to push that at the moment as well. But all has to happen under the Trump leadership. Has to happen there. All right, so that's kind of the play right now. So 1580, and so we're watching that too. All right, so let's jump away to Bitmine. So unlike strategy, obviously Bitmine has been down with ETH as a leverage play, and so has SBET. But these guys are playing the big game. So I'm not too worried about Bitmine and SBET and that where they are. Obviously, they're pretty underperforming. Some people are well under the money. But actually, if they're right, and we believe they are right, then these will all be hyper valuable in the future. They'll be potentially some of the most valuable companies on the planet because they're just taking this early value position. And so here we're at the moment. We've got Bitmine just came out with their release as well. Now, Bitmine and SBET are both buying. SBET hadn't been buying for a long time. They're now buying large amounts of Ethereum as well. So now we've got the two top digital asset treasuries, the real last two main survivors leading the way. And now we got not just one buying, but two buying. And so it's pretty bullish for the old Ethereum there. And these guys are buying it and locking it away essentially for good. So, it's less supply we're going to see on the market. Now, we're also going to be getting Glamsterdam coming up with the block upgrade. So we're going to have cheaper transactions, faster transactions. Let's focus on layer 2, focused on layer 1. That's hyper bullish. And we're going to probably see even more development head in the commercialization and make Ethereum more scarce moving forward, as well as just more functional for institutions and the modern finance and payment rails to be on Ethereum. So we've got mega directional things happening recently. And of course, these two, Bitmine and Strategy, are leading that now, which is great. It's one thing having, nerd geeks like Vitalik, but you really want to have the commercialization. If you want to pump your bags, that's your main priority. Some people are just in it for the tech, but if that's not you, you want the pump bags to be pumped. Well, it's great to see this direction, right? This is the key. Now, the trade-off is that centralized control players like DTCC are going to come in and take over. So that's the trade-off you're giving. So if you're a true believer in DeFi, then you're kind of left with Pulse Chain, right? It's kind of just about the Pulse Chain, because all the other chains are going to sell out, right? You know that, right? So that's the trade-off that you're having. But hey, look, pump your bags. It's going to be a challenging world in the future. And if you can pump your bags, then you'll be way better off compared to your neighbor next door who's still got 2% interest in the bank account, and wondering why he can't afford to buy his food on the table, right? That's kind of the contrast there. All right, so globalists want you to be wrecked. Remember that. They're going to control you, enslave you, and that's kind of the play. So the good news is that hopefully crypto is going to be here to help you out. All right, so Bitmine provided its latest holdings update for June 29th, 2026, 9.8 billion in total crypto. Moonshots, of course, they're well out of the money, right? So I think it's about 20 billion, close to $20 billion they've raised, and so they're only sitting at 9.8. So they're down quite dramatically and unrealized losses. Remember, these are unrealized, so you just got to wait for Ethereum to go back up. Probably around about $3,400 they break even. That's why they're buying more Ethereum now at the cheaper prices to go up. Now, the question is whether they're going to go past 5% and lower their average cost. If they're buying more Ethereum now, they're going to be able to raise it. Sentiment's not that easy, even with the mighty Tom Lee, who's done an incredible job up to this point in terms of money raising. Now, he doesn't control the ETH market, right? So he's obviously bought 5%. Imagine if he hadn't been buying 5%. Imagine all the digital asset treasuries he never bought it last year. Where would the ETH price be right now? $200, $300. It'd be pretty low, I'm sure of it. So a good thing, the counterfactual is that these guys saved the day for Ethereum there, and also helping to usher in the new future finance, commercialization, and payment rails. Potentially payment rails would be ultimate. So obviously we need to upgrade the chain, and that's what, Glamsterdam's a big step in the right direction for that. All right, so we got 5.7 million ETH now they control. Remember, there's 120.7 million ETH. They control 5.7, and that's exciting. They've also got a couple of hundred Bitcoin, because that used to be a Bitcoin miner, Bitmine. 180 million stake in Mr. Beast. This is a key thing for mass adoption. This is probably, as far as I can see, the fastest, best way to mass adoption. Finally, it is here. Crypto people have been talking about for years. It's been a slow grind. And at the moment, we've got less people looking at crypto because it's just the charts are down. That no one's really searching for on Google. So this is going to be the key catalyst here with Mr. Beast. Now he bought Leap DApp earlier. It's kind of a finance app. They call it a banking, but it's really a finance app. And we're expecting this to scale up. And Mr. Beast there, 1 in 3 people watch his videos every month on the internet. And so this is the best way to doing that. There are a couple other ways that mass adoption might occur on social media platforms with financial products like X Money, for example. But this, I think, is going to be the biggest target here for both Generation Z and Generation Alpha and a bit of Generation Millennials, right? And they're also benefiting from the wealth transfer. So that's kind of the ethos there. I suspect that we may see some that financial and promotions go ahead and they some sort of way of transferring, be able to buy Ethereum and crypto on the end. So therefore, you're going to scale up mass adoption, and everyone's going to own a bit of Ethereum, and it's just going to put so much demand onto the product, is right. And I think that Bitmine's going to play a key role in doing that. They've obviously talked about their own app. I'm not quite sure how those two are going to interrelate. Maybe it'd be a sub offering on Mr. Beast. We shall see how that actually plays out, but that is the big play there. So think about the digital asset treasury earning a couple $1 million a year, which is awesome by itself, and then layering on the future of finance and the future of the payment rails on top of that as a massive value add. And that's kind of where we're heading here, I think. That's probably why Tom Lee's always so calm about it, right? So he's always calm because he knows the big game is afoot, and he's leading the charge there. He's probably the most important person now in the Ethereum blockchain in terms of leadership, whether you love him or hate him. He is, and if you hate him, he's probably going to make you rich in due course, not in the short term, but in the longer term as he rolls this out. Now we've got total cash and marketable securities at 5 and 55 million. Now I suspect they're going to keep the money around this level. And of course, they will hit their 5% this year. They're going to hit their 5% this year. They're only 340,000 ETH away. They could get pretty close to it if they spend all this money and to buy up ETH right now. But I do think they're going to keep a decent cash position because they've got potentially other acquisitions they might want to do as part of this new finance payment rails. And they're trying to organize all the players and make all the partnerships, get all the all that sort of stuff together. So I still think that that's where he's going to be at the moment. All right, so let's scroll down into the next one. Tom Lee's latest opinions. Obviously, he has lots of opinions. He doesn't always get it right. Like he's had a lot. He's very good on, I think, very good on the SEP, getting SEP right. He's obviously not very good, generally speaking, at getting crypto prices right. So just he's had a lot of mistakes on the crypto targets, but I think he will be right eventually. That's right. I think he'll be right eventually. All right. So this past week was a challenging one for the crypto investors as ETH fell by 8%, even as Ethereum witnessed notable positive developments such as the creation of ETH Labs. Now this is key, man. This is taking over the leadership essentially. This is going to be funded by Bitmine and Sharplink or SBET, the two big digital DATs, and this is massive, right? This is digital asset treasuries leading this, and it's going to be more commercial. They've had the first week of operations, guys, and this is going to be very important moving forward. And even the Bank of England softened its stance around stablecoins. We are nearing the quarter end for June, and it is not surprising to see window dressing leading to investors to reducing their holdings in assets which have fallen in the last 3 months. Now we know that we've had the last 3 quarters have been terrible, right? We've only had that 3 times before in history, and so hopefully we're going to say goodbye to the last quarter and July bring on a new green quarter. Maybe hope we have a couple of green quarters. So that's kind of the time we're looking here. So hopefully we are really moving out of that winter, and maybe by mid-July we're moving into crypto spring. That's kind of, I guess, the way I see it at the moment. Now on June 26, Bitmine added to the Russell 1000 large cap, and I think we're going to see a lot of uplift potentially for that over the next few weeks. Keep a lookout for that. Typically like 20-25% of a company ends up owned by these what they call passive and active investing companies and indexes. So hopefully we'll get a bit of an uplift, quite a bit of uplift from that. So we're watching that over the next few weeks. Certainly as confidence comes back into the market, we could see more of these investment managers, particularly the active ones, FOMOing into Bitmine, and it could get re-rated very quickly, right? After this downtime. Remember, after we have these dramatic downtimes, everyone's like fearful. It's often the best time to buy, right? And as long as it's got a great long-term perspective, then yeah, it could be a pretty game changer. The investment company institute, or ICI, estimates the passive investment funds and ETFs typically represent 18 to 20% of a share of a company. So that's what we might see uplift, particularly as confidence comes back in the market as part of this index. Some of them are automatic, but we'll see a lot more stuff happening there, I think, in the next few weeks. Being added to the Russell 1000 is expected to add hundreds and possibly thousands of additional institutional investors as equity owners of Bitmine continued. So we get a big rally back into ETH. We get through, September, and things are starting. We could see a lot of institutions coming in here. Being in the Russell is just one of the top ones to be in, and it's exciting times, guys. Exciting times. So even Glacier Hex is in the house with the thumbs up on that one. All right, so that's kind of cool. Let's move on here. Over the past week, we acquired 27,000 ETH. So we've had quite a different, up and down here. You remember that they had 112,000 back here in May, end of May. They then did 27,000, then they did 127,000, 76,000, 52,000, and last week 27,000. So it's been up and down. And because ETH price is so cheap, they decided to buy a whole ton more, right? Even raising some preferred stock at 9.5% yield, which is on a weekly payment, to build up their cash and buy some more ETH there. Lower the average price for the digital asset treasury, which is compared to MNAV, is also another good indicator of where the market might price the company over time, right? Lowering the average cost of the Ethereum that you have relative to the market price over time. So that's been pretty good. Obviously, a big deal there. So they're still buying, guys. And they've still got at least another 340,000 ETH to buy if they hit the 5%. Now, the question is, are they going to go over 5% and head up towards 10 to 12, which is probably the maximum that you'd want to have a cornerstone holder, digital asset treasury, do? And so that's something we're going to see in the future. Obviously, it will help to accelerate that price fulfillment to the upside, and also take ETH off the market, also raise the income for the digital asset treasury. So there are a lot of positives there. And so we're going to see how that, and I think we'll have a disproportionate impact on the ETH price, especially if some of the innovations coming up are going to, make ETH more scarce. EIP 159, they're doing the deflationary based on a certain amount of volume going through, but they're going to try and improve, I think, that deflationary aspect. And of course, if you do put digital buying in there, you can create your own notion of deflation on Ethereum as well. And obviously, with the digital asset treasuries, that's given a big uplift. We're also seeing more innovation in ETFs from that side of it, and more institutions coming in. So it's just a patient game, an investor's game, and we're watching that play out. So pretty interesting there. So Bitmine now has total staked ETH of so out at 5.7 million ETH. They got almost 4.9 million of it staked. And of course, the annualized staking revenue now $211 million. What a cash cow they got! Remember, they got essentially close to no debt. I mean, they got the preferred stuff they got out at the moment, but essentially close to no debt. Bitmine owns staking options generate 7-day yields at 2.75%. And of course, as you guys know, they got their Maven, so they have increased their staking over the last week. It's gone up. Another 160,000. They've still got a lot more ETH they can stake, so we'll be watching that behavior in the future as well. Takes about 2 months to go through the staking queue. So they've just got to keep pushing that stuff through. But they may have keep some ETH aside. Maybe they're going to be doing some reselling or something like that through mass adoption. I don't know. There's lots of options they could do. Obviously, earning income is the foundation of that. And we can see the chart here. If they are fully staked, that would be if they get all their ETH, the 5%, they'll be earning $260 million at the current price of ETH. Obviously, if ETH gets up to this $10,000-$20,000 mark, then they're going to start earning into the billions, right? Billions of dollars. Low billions, but low billions of dollars there. All right, so according to Fundstrat BMNR, so there's the actual common stock that holds ETH, traded average dollar volume of 643 million. So they got one of the top volumes on the stock market, guys. Ranked number 240. They've actually been in the top 100 before. So we're going to watch out for that. And that is very cool. If you've got large volume, you can actually raise money from the market, right? So this is a key part there. If you've got low volume, no one really cares too much about you. And so this is very, very important there. We also know that they've had a lot of institutions come in. They obviously see the vision. They're on the phone, Tom Lee's talking to them on the phone. And they've got a lot of institutional support coming in, positioning themselves as well. So that was the update. Pretty big one there, but I want to be thorough on this one. We get these every week. This is a really bullish one there. Now, remember, the strategy didn't buy any Bitcoin last week, so there was no accretion there, but they did do capital management, and most of that, I think, is good. I'll give it, 80 out of 100%, maybe 90% is good there. Obviously, the Bitcoin selling is the weakness there, and the shorters will be focusing on that. So, but it's it depends whether they actualize that. So we're watching that in the future. No doubt they'll probably do some of it. All right, so that is Bitmine, so bullish on Ethereum. Pretty cool. Now, Sharplink, of course, had been asleep. Hadn't really been buying any Ethereum for some time. Now they're the second biggest digital asset treasury. I think they had about 900,000 under management, and they've really been focused on institutional onboarding and solutions on Ethereum. So very, very key there. Whereas I think Bitmine's going to do institutions, and payment rails, but actually mass adoption too. And I think that's that retail play is going to be pretty big. So that's where I'm expecting that to go. That is the game changer there. Sharplink has bought another 29,000 ETH over the past 3 days. Sharplink has bought a total of almost just over 39,000 ETH, so $62 million at the lower price too. So these are low price. They're getting a nice at 59, so they'll be pretty happy about that. Remember, Tom Lee was buying up in the 4,000s. And here you got Sharplink buying under the 2,000s. So it's kind of like a dream come true, right? And so it implies some good value there for Sharplink. Maybe not so good for the gaming, but they're good with this. So pretty exciting stuff. So Ethereum, they get a lot of support. So this is all upstream of Pulse Chain, and then we got Pulse Chain, of course. We're going to get into that, and let's talk about Pulse Chain. And we got Pulse Chain here at the moment. We got the price of Pulse. I actually haven't got it up at the moment, but price of Pulse here. Let's pull it up while I'm here. And Pulse Chain really is the freedom chain, the DeFi chain, going to be the privacy chain. And it's going to be a big adopter of ZK, zero knowledge proofs as well. And it's kind of leading the way on that front. The only area of weakness so far on the chain, we've had a number of area weaknesses, but a lot of them are being fixed up over the last couple of months. And we got a couple next 2 months are going to fix up, I think, the remainder of those issues. And then we're going to have really one main issue that I can see that's big, and that's the AI area. We're really, really low on the AI, and I want to do a stream on that. So that's coming in there. All right, so let's have a look at the price of Pulse. So we're at Pulse here. Let's pull it in. We're going to pull up the Pulse chart here, and let's go full screen. Let's see how we're doing for time. Oh, an hour, 12 minutes. So we're on the long show today, but we'll keep persevering through. So price of Pulse at the moment, 5.061. So let's just round it. 5.06200 is where we are right now. Now I'm just going to take the zeros off, course, and just took 6,200. So Pulse is at 6,200, down 1.1% today. So another modest day down. We've had these little modest day downs, generally speaking. Hex at the moment is at 8 thousandths of a penny, down 0.8%. We've got ProveX at the moment which ZK is 4.037, and that's down 1.5%. And PulseX there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, 4. That's down 1% as well. Ink token, is that right? That number? I have to go double check, but this it's 4. Ink token at 28 cents is up 1/5%. So only Ink is on the move there, and Ink is the one I don't like the most. It's the one to me it's the weak one out of them, but it can benefit from PulseX and the Hart's law and all that. So that's the counter move, and whales that are holding a lot of those bags. But I don't like it. It's Richard killed it off with the inflation, and unless the master chef makes use of it. Really, it's just left with third-party projects. But rather than that, why put it in there when you can go and buy all this other good stuff, right? So that's kind of my thesis there. Hex Raider and House, hey gang, great to see you, Hex Raider. Yeah, we're slowly ramping up the audience. Audience is building up, so great to see everybody in the house. Let's get into it. So that is Pulse Chain. Let's go to now. They've changed their website, haven't they, on Pulse Chain stats? So I've got to where are we going here? We're going to different places. They changed it yesterday, was it? It looked like it changed yesterday. Where am I going? Normally I go for the validators. I think I go. Let's go validators. They've changed the menu a bit, so we're just re-navigating, guys. So we're at 44,765 validators. Now I know that Rack and Michelle's talked about doing a couple more thousand validators for Coin Mafia, but I have not seen that. We've not seen that. We've only seen validator numbers go down. So as I understand it, they're sitting at 2,000 backing that. Other than that, validators are dominated by Vouch, public validator, which is a bit like Rocket Pool Lido, and of course Validator X from PlusX, right, which is another competing public validator there as well. They also have different tokenomics and different yield incentives, but essentially public validators here, and they dominate kind of the validators here. I think you can scroll down and you can see the list down here somewhere, I think. somewhere down here. Or there's all the nodes and stuff. But there's the validator list down here. So you can see the list down the bottom here. All right, so validators, what's the other one we do? Gas stats. Let's go gas stats. So get 450. We're at pretty much where we always are these days on the low end. 67 pulse for a pulse swap and 4 thousandths of a penny equivalents. And the last thing is the bridge, right? So let's go find the bridge. Where's the bridge gone? Bridge stats. Yeah, they really moved the menu around, haven't they? Menu there. All right, so we'll have a stake well done. Stake well done. All right, so it's just loading up here. So refresh there. We're at 47.59. So we're back at the low. We're back at the low again. So we did get a bounce of about 2.5 million. Now we've been squashed right back down to 47.59. Can't give a break. We have a positive day today, $57.5 thousand. So we've got a positive day, but unfortunately, we're on the low end again. We're back to where we were a couple of weeks back at 47.59. So obviously we need a bit more capital to come over. We have got a lot of idle capital sitting on the chain in terms of stable coins, etc. But we need a bit of a reprieve there. So all that stuff wiped out. Let's have a quick look at the last 30 days. So the last 30 days, we are down. Let's have a look here. Last 30 days, we're still up 340K last 30 days. But, let's go to a year ago and see, assuming the accuracy of the information, of course, that we're down 4.5 million from a year ago, 6 months. Obviously, we've got asset prices like Ethereum and Bitcoin in here as well. So presumably this is dynamic pricing as opposed to static pricing. I don't know. Static pricing would just be taking like a timestamp at the time. So presumably this is dynamic, which means it's taking contemporary prices. So they were down 3 million there. All right. We need more little eye buttons, little eyes that tell you exactly whether it's static or dynamic or something. Woohoo! Super bullish on Pulse Chain future. Pulse gains is Excavator. I like it. Yeah, this is sort of positive we like to see. All right, so that is the old chain. Let's jump into Pulse Chain. The battle for the bottom is on, and we've been talking about it for several weeks. Not actually, we've been talking about it for months, but or years in this case. We got the mega downtrend, right? This big yellow line. We're trying to find the bottom and defeat this line. We're certainly having positive things happen. We had that 11 weeks of battling between 72 and 8,200. That's 5 zeros, 72, 8,200. We've came down with the Bitcoin crash, that third wave down, and which was pretty violent. And then we got down to a low of 5 zeros, 5,400. We're now at 5 zeros, 6,200. We had a nice little bounce to what did we get to? 7,300. Back at the bottom of that 11-week range. This is different structure than we've seen in the previous period, and we've also got the RSI rolling along the bottom. So that was very different. So we're kind of getting clues that maybe we're finding the bottom, and maybe 5,400 is the bottom, assuming we don't get that fourth wave down and that Pulse Chain doesn't follow the market down. If we get that bearish scenario for the 4-year cycle, September, October, and also that we managed to hold on, and maybe the liquidity gets so thin, we also get less rotation, less percentages down. We often move slightly delay as well, based on watching the markets, but we'll see how we get there go forward. Now on the weekly candles here, we've got the 21 weekly moving average. Pretty good traders sort of mark as a 21 moving average, and we are sitting here at what's the moving average here? The price. I'm just going to do a proxy, but 9,100. Let's say 5 zeros, 9,100. Now, to get out and to break this mega downtrend and to get this positive flywheel rather than a negative flywheel and change the whole sentiment of the chain, we need, in my view, to obviously get over the 21, but actually lose a zero and get to 1,200 and then get to 1,700, maybe come and retest after that big move down to either 1,200 or 1,000 and then up and to the right somehow. I don't know what that's going to look like. Not necessarily big, beautiful parabolics, but maybe a bit of a move sideways and then a slow grind up. I don't know. But certainly we should have a lot of the positivities downstream from the rest of the market, flooding and capital and re-rating and all that sort of stuff, and tokenization and everything else push us up to the right here as well. And that excludes anything Richard Hart might do with the magic carpet ride theory, as they're going to call it. And so if that gets re-rated on Ethereum, that's all downstream, then he can just shave off a little bit and pump Pulse Chain to the moon, right? Green candles, everyone looks and everyone talks. And maybe Richard Hart gets rid of Europol, or Interpol, I should say, and starts back streaming again as well, as the number one rebel founder. And of course, he is Vitalik's gone back to many of the principles that Richard Hart's been talking about for years. So he is a bit of a visionary. and so we look forward to that taking place there. So that's kind of the thesis. So if we did do that, getting back to 1200, losing a zero is a 94% gain. Moving to 1700, losing a zero would be 172% gain, so 2.7. That's not out of the ballpark, as you can see. We've done that a couple of times, 1 and 2, 3. I mean, if you add these smaller ones, done several times. So it's important. Like this one here was 142, so it's pretty close. This one here was 150. But if we combine those two moves from there to there, that's 222% gain, so 3.2. So definitely you can see that in the mix. It's definitely doable. And these were over a certain period. This is 70 days, for example. So that 10 weeks, that was 177%. So that's a 2.8. So this is definitely doable to break free from this mega downtrend. That's the thesis. We've definitely got structural change, definitely got things happening in the positive, and we're definitely getting fundamentally all the problems that we have on Pulse Chain that we were missing. Not enough wallets, not enough features, not having the right features in them, not enough DEXs and technology, the latest technology. All those things are being solved, and we're definitely having a great value period right now, right at the bottom of the market. A lot of these products are coming to market from our very good developers. And so this is setting us up better for the future. The only area that I see that we're still lagging big time, as I said earlier, is the AI sector on the chain. And hopefully we've got a few little things happening in that space, but hopefully we get some bigger stuff happening in the space from the blue chips, from the bigger teams. And when I say bigger teams also have to reach out further afield than Pulse Chain because you want your tentacles out there. You want to get that capital flow, want to get that downstream benefit coming more and more. One of the ways you do that is green candles, but we don't have green candles. So you got to do that by dApps and DeFi and get out with the best stuff and get out as far as wide. And LibertySwap's a great example of that. Internet Money's doing a pretty good job in that space too. And we've got a few others that are going to move in the mix, I'm sure, moving forward. So that is the old Pulse Chain chart. So we'll keep a look out there at the moment. Obviously, picking up Pulse right now in the sacrifice set, you would have paid $85,000 to $90,000 to get 1 billion Pulse. You don't have to pay that now. You can pay $6,200 to get a billion Pulse. So that's the different world we live in compared to the prior to the launch there in May 2023. All right, let's move on. We've obviously got the volumes. So we've been watching the volumes pretty closely, haven't we? And we're sitting at 3.1 million. It's pretty much the same as we had yesterday. A couple of days ago, we had, 1.9 million? Pretty pathetic. I mean, it is, I just say it frank. Be frank about it, but or Bill or Bob or whatever. But 3.1 million. So that's we're still in the bottom range of 2.5 to 3.5 million. But at least we're up at 3.1, and not 1.9. We've got 283,000 transactions. This volume does exclude the balance of PHUX, but apart from that, it captures our big four DEXs, which is PulseX V2, 9mm V3, LibertySwap V3, and SwitchX V4. Right. So we've got these new additions, LibertySwap and SwitchX, just in the last month or two, and that's given us a lot of cool technology, particularly SwitchX around automated automated liquidity management. Excuse me. And LibertySwap, around capital efficiency and management as well. Obviously, nice V3 support. So we've had these two big players come in, and that bodes us well for the future. Really filling the gaps there. Not only DEXs, but DEX aggregators, and that's exciting to see. So that's kind of filling that space. Also, LibertySwap, of course, going the next mile there with the ZKX wallet, and that is huge with the wallet and everything. So that's an even bigger ecosystem there. But Brandon's been bringing out some such great products. I'm really excited about where he's heading here. Now, we do have two other wallets coming, not just LibertySwaps. We've got, obviously, Cappy wallet, I should say, from Alex McFerder, sort of a modified Rabby wallet. And then we've also got Ramp now, one of our other main bridges and fiat on-ramps, also doing I think a modified Rabby wallet as well. So we're going to have plenty of UI, UX experiences, plenty of ways of getting mass adoption and having all the right information that people need. US dollar reflections, auto token, registering and everything else like that. So it's going to be pretty good. So we're getting everything, guys, at the right time of the market. All right, so that's in the play, and we've got a lot of new lending products, stablecoin products coming. So we've got a lot of stuff happening in that space as well. All right, so let's get into it. We've got total leader right now. We haven't got much happening on Pulse Chain, let's be frank, today at least. We've got 3.1 million volume, but we haven't really got a big moves in percentages. This is the default view for Dex Screener, top 100. We've got Smorg, which is part of a 3-token ecosystem. We looked at that yesterday. It's got 2 other reflection tokens. One of them is Opus, and that is up 4.2% today. Very little volume on here. Now, remember, Pulse Chain doesn't have a lot of big volume projects. We might have half a dozen at this level of volume. We might have half a dozen that max that are doing over 100K, and typically only Pulse, the fee coin, is doing over 1 million. Typically, although today, I don't know if that's quite doing that today. But we got Peacock Ninjas from OG WebChef. This is on the high end, high risk reward. That is currently at 2.6% today. We got Unity from Cryptographics, funny enough. This is not tied into PulseX. Cryptographics, of course, one of the big influences in Pulse Chain, Titanx, and also founder in his own right with Unity. They're up 2.5% right now. Let's have a quick look at that chart, actually. We haven't looked at it for a while. Let's go to the weekly chart. So that's the weekly there on the price. Obviously comes down with Pulse, so we have to look at the PulseX ratio to be fair, and that's down as well, but it's still flatlined over the last 5 weeks, so maybe it's reached the bottom there. 2,058 PulseX per Unity right now. I don't know how much is in the buying bench. We have a quick look at that. All these things you're not intending to do, but then you do. I'd love to see do another interview with Cryptographics. Let's see here. What's in the burn here? So still got 44,000 in the burn. The buy and build. It's got 44 as well. So what's that? 88. The fractal. Actually, I've got to make sure I'm adding these up properly. 32. 32 there. Okay, maybe it's overall. Maybe that's overall. Looks like 44 overall, and yeah, includes burn, build, and fractal pool. So 44K still in there, which is still supportive. Let's have a look at the stats. Let's have a look here. Liquid supply 8.75 million Unity on Pulse Chain, 9.78 million Unity burned. Stake Unity 1.87 million. Supply in the LP 3.53. What else? What was that? The distribution. The supply, Unity supply 14.14 million total. Burn utility 9.7. That's not bad, isn't it? Burn is quite a lot. It's kind of cool. 9.78 total supply. Stake Unity 1.87. Total shares there 13 billion. Total PulseX burn 3.65, which is the secondary beneficiary there. Pretty interesting. Yeah, we should get. It'd be great to get Cryptographics on and do an update about how he feels about that. And of course, they were supposed to be moving into collaborative staking. Do you remember that? I haven't heard much about that since, so I haven't been following closely enough, but we'll try and keep up to date with that. So there's sort of top performers there with Die Hard. This is up 1%. Very little volume on these. Look, they're just sneaking in there in the top leaderboard. They should have a cutoff. They should have a cutoff here. This Dex Screener's default view, right, on the 24 hours. What else? We got Phoenix up 1%, so that's pretty much it. Those two are kind of no volume, so we'll move on. Dow token number 7 up 0.8%. Teddy Bear up 0.5%. Apin Pulse there is up 0.5%, and Dow token number 10 there is up 0.5%. So not really much to see. Very low volumes on these ones, getting the better percentages there. Most of the volume, let's have a look there, is on Peacock. Peacock there doing top volume today, 114 on all dexes. We've got Source Unminimum also still holding up, down a little bit overnight, 7.6%, but 109K there. And then you got Richard Hart Cores along with Peacock Ninjas. So though you can kind of see where the most of the volume is today, pretty much in the Cores, OG WebChef, Source Unminimum, and LibertySwap Peacock. That's it. That's pretty much it. Mic drop. I don't have a mic, but if I had a mic, that would be dropping it. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's have a look at the West performers. Since we haven't got much action on the top there, we've got no double-digit coins today. No, at least not on the trending table. There's probably some others that are not on this list that are trending on Pulse Chain. But RH Pepe, oh my goodness, the recent meme coin over 2 months old, down 26% today. OMG. Memes are just not in fashion, are they? There's not, well, Liberty, a Peacock is, but that's because it's got big utility behind it. But if you've got a meme coin that hasn't got utility behind it, it's not, they're not performing very well on Pulse Chain or other chains generally. Obviously, there's exceptions, but it's definitely not one of the hot categories. All the top meme coins are definitely under pressure. But anyway, we've got the price of Pepe there down at 0.007,000. The pulse ratio, we always got to look at that to be fair. And so let's look at the weekly chart there. Down it goes. So it was up 315 pulse per RH Pepe, down at 113. And I don't know who launched this, but That is ticking away there. There we go. All right. Right. So what else we got going there? UFO, obviously doing the migration. I don't know if the days for the migration's been set yet. It was going to be a snapshot within the next day or week. We looked at it yesterday. That's down 14.8% today. That's gone X snapshot, isn't it? No, they said yes. It was kind of weird because they said last day to buy UFO, and then they had snapshot could be any day or within a week. So I'm a little confused by that. Let me know yourself if you guys have got clarity around there. Down 14.8%. Liberty down 30% as well, which is this funny sort of property one, isn't it? Anyway, I don't know. That's a new peer. Looks like a new peer for that. And then Teddy Bear from James and Maria is down 7.8%. Now, Teddy Bear in James and Maria's mind, originally he's this, sort of a genius guy that's, floats around on European videos. He is, this was supposed to be sort of the meme coin that was supposed to encapsulate his ecosystem, and he does a lot of volume moves and lots of stuff. You've seen him on live streams pulling ETH out of the chain when there was risks to some of the contracts, particularly around PDI Maker and all that sort of stuff. But that's down today, down 6.8. But let's have a look at the ratio. Which one is we going to look at though? Just quickly, as we look, this will be the last bottom one we look at. Maybe we'll look at some minimal investor too. While we're at it. But let's have a quick look at Teddy Bear here. And let's have a look at this over the week. So it is on the downside on the pulse, 8 zeros, 3,176. Now, as I understand, he was doing some new tokens and new systems, and I think Crypto Sparbook's covered that on a video. We're sitting at 0005,100 at the moment, so it's not too bad. That's still pretty strong on the pulse ratio, so not too bad. Obviously, it's off the highs, but in terms of the moving average here, it's kind of in the top of the range, not the top range, but in this sort of average range, let's say, around here. So not too bad. Keep a look out for that. Now, I saw some minimalists had a rally recently. They're going to Solana. They got a test token over Solana, but here they are still on some minimal. We've had a rally over the last 3 weeks, last month. Got sold off a little bit there. We got up to 6.3 cents, down to 5.25 cents at the moment. Let's see if this has got much more oomph in it. I don't know if it's buy and burn driven, because if we go to the dollars, look at 1,000 plus. Normally they were doing about $11,000 buys, but I don't really see. There's a little bit of a pattern here with the 75 wallet, so maybe that's the one that's doing it. It's pretty crazy. Actually, let's just highlight the 75, shall we? Since we're having a long live stream today, some of the action there for that wallet, interesting. So it's a bit of a trader wallet, really. Doesn't look like a buy and burn, does it? Now there is a spreadsheet, and I've got to pull that up. I've got it saved that tracks the buy and burn. I don't know if they've been doing many buy and burn, but anyway, it rallied. So I'm not quite sure what's caused that, because they're supposed to go into Solana. All right, so maybe they were going to do a final snapshot or something. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. A month ago was the last video that Wolfgang, the CEO, did. But that is the food giant, especially food giant in Europe. It's a shame it's going, because we could do with those tens of millions of dollars in its buy and burn. We could do that, couldn't we? And the institutions that potentially may invest and flow in too. I love the idea of the thing. I just think that the guy's very willy-nilly moving around there. It's kind of weird. But maybe it was the Floyd Investment Institute that changed the mind again. But anyway, we shall see. Not great in terms of management, if you ask me. 1.38 is the for investor ratio pulse. So we're definitely on the low side here. Obviously, the glory days were way back up here in March 25. We're at 55 pulse. We're down at 1.38. How times have changed. That's so dramatic, isn't it? 55 to 1.38. So OGWF is the grandparent, kind of the ultimate store of value of their OGWF printers. And of course, Peacock Ninja Ninja Peacock is the hot one right now. And maybe the PDI printer is sort of a second. It was doing pretty well a couple of weeks ago before Peacock Ninja. But anyway, so those are kind of the key ones there. You got the world's greatest PDI printer right here, down 10%. And Atropa, James Maria, also like Teddy Bear, down as well today. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's jump over. We'll have a quick look at Peacock. Peacock at the moment is sitting just below 1/10 of a penny. Pretty much stuck around there, hasn't it, for a long time. Let's jump into the big news. We're now in 34 minutes. Looks like we're doing a 2-hour mega live stream, guys, which is kind of cool. Let's give a clap for that, just for the time. Let's do that. Oh, we got a magical twinkle in the mix as well, so it's got to be good. So congratulations, LibertySwap. They're continuing to push out the ecosystem. It's exciting to see. LibertySwap is the Kraken on Pulse Chain. Maybe another good one is Internet Money wallet from KG. There are these the big giants on Pulse Chain. ZKP though, I think it's going to be just so big when it's all said and done, because they're just hooking in all the best DeFi into the ecosystem, and they're all integrating it into the wallet, and the wallet is expanding its coverage. And so this is exciting. So, congratulations to LibertySwap. ZKX wallet web app is now live, and I haven't reposted this, so we're going to repost that. It's smashed the heart. I haven't even done anything on it, so we'll do that. Bam, there we go. And huge congrats. This is a big deal, and great to see, right? So kind of cool. All right, so we've got, let's go through the walkthrough here. The ZKX wallet is no longer tied to specific operating systems or app stores. Now, obviously, everyone wants to get on the app stores because obviously there's a big client list that they're still doing that. But really, this is going to make it so that they can just do updates all the time, and you're going to get it instantly. Not going to have to get reviewed by Apple Store or something. So it's kind of cool. Also, not specific operating systems. So I guess your Macs, your Linux, your Windows, all that sort of stuff. So it's game on. We rebuilt the same code base that powers our ZKX extension. That's, we obviously Chrome, for example, into a fully functional web app. You can have as many of these as you want now, I guess, on your desktop. With this release, ZKX wallet is now accessible on any device with any modern web browser. So that is pretty awesome. So everywhere, ZKX wallet is now everywhere potentially. Very exciting to see. Now, obviously, they got iOS, Safari, Chrome, etc. They got Mac OS, they got Windows, they got Linux, they got Android, Chrome OS, and basically anything else with a browser. Awesome stuff. So, I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? Let's give another clap for that. All right, so no native installation is required for core access. You can also install it as a progressive web app to PWA for a more app-like experience on supported devices. Your keys remain fully in your control. Even your hot wallet is protected with encrypted passkey-based security with no backup dependency or identity linking there. So, welcome to privacy and DeFi. Railgun shielding works seamlessly. And remember, this Railgun at the moment is based on the ETH contract versions, and they've pulled that over to Pulse Chain with I think it's ETH that they're using, ETH and stablecoin maybe, USDC I think. Railgun shielding works seamlessly. Hardware wallet support, including QR-based signing, is included, and you get a unified private and public balance management across EVM chains and Pulse Chain. So that's pretty exciting. No doubt, I think they're probably going to have SVM on there eventually, because they do obviously support SVM services as well for the bridging. We can now ship new features and almost daily to improve the wallet experience for our users. And this is really important, right? This is so important. Now they get a lot of their early, key updates, feedback early, and they can upgrade those, and then therefore normally further down the track, you're basically adding a lot of the high value adds, like the DeFis, but very exciting there. Privacy, obviously tick. Security tick. Accessibility tick. Universal tick. So can't ask much for better for that. And here's a little bit of a video of that. So can you guys see that? Let me just screen this up a little bit here. Let's see if we can get that bigger. Is that bigger? A little bigger there? It's pretty big. All right, so let's have a look just from the beginning there. So that's the wallet there on the website. We're going to go to the website anyway, but that is the video. Kind of cool. ZKX wallets. Nice. Welcome back. Unlock with passkey. Unlock. Oh, you got the old fingerprint there. Welcome back, and here's the wallet. And I'm going to pause it on here for a quick minute because the menu here, you've got the home page, you've got the send and receive. This is going to have probably their top projects in here soon, like bridge swapping and DEX aggregation. I presume they're going to have that swap feature there probably. Probably the fiat. I'm expecting the fiat on ramp as well, both centralized and decentralized, maybe using the peer DeFi peer-to-peer there. So we'll look for that. And potentially ProveX as well. ProveX there with the peer-to-peer ZK technology probably show up in that main menu. That's my guess in the future. Now we've got privacy there. We've got shield and unshield. Obviously, this is based on the ETH railgun, a contract supported over there with 1 or 2 assets, but we know that this is going to come down the line where they're going to launch those railgun privacy contracts on Pulse Chain, and you're going to have a big range potentially of tokens that you can, shield and unshield there if you want to, hide your crypto somewhat through those contract pools. So pretty cool. And then we got down the bottom them activity and settings. Obviously, see activities. What else we got here? We've got portfolio allocations. Got to break down your portfolio, recent activity. Kind of cool to see. You got your balance, and if you had tokens here, you got networks and tokens. Awesome, and you can obviously add many tokens as well. But they do have an auto reader, I'm pretty sure, on that. And you have your tokens, so it's going to show up here. So it's kind of cool. You got your public balance and your private balance. So if you do shield unshielding, it will go to your private balance and be hidden there. And of course, you get a different wallet for that. You get a ZK wallet rather than the OEX wallet, right? So kind of cool. Let's keep playing the video. They got the counts down there as well, so you can have more accounts than one. Yeah, more accounts. Home shield, privacy, look cool. Now let's just pause it on the privacy there. Don't you love the gold? I really love the gold. I think they can do something with the gold. What do you guys reckon? I don't know whether they are doing anything with the gold, but I think they can. Yeah, it's I won't go over again. But you got your OZ wallet here for the ZK, the shielding, and here, and so forth. So it's kind of cool. So you can have a public and private balance. So they've really democratized the railgun, and they're really making it easy for people to use, right? And it's going to get a major upgrade when the contracts are launched on Pulse Chain. Send private tokens, yes please. So we're going to have a lot of privacy transfers going on, privacy, and then lending's coming. So we're going to have a lot of lending, privacy lending, I guess, and then we're going to have trading, privacy trading. Obviously, you can kind of do that now. I guess it's all coming up in the play. There's lots of areas that they're going to continue to develop there. So pretty awesome. That is from LibertySwap there. So great stuff there. Let's see. Open our only an official website. So they've obviously got the website launched there. It's kind of cool. And I'm going to repost that too, I think. Let's open it up. ZKX wallet there. Just make sure, that's the LibertySwap file. Yeah. Got to be careful sometimes with those replies, right? Reply guys. So we got ZKXwallet.com. And you got the website. Look at that. I love that little inflection there. It's just a little bit of animation. It helps a lot, doesn't it? $0 proof. There we go. Your crypto private by design, trade, bridge, manage assets. Pretty awesome. So that is pretty exciting there. Now I'm going to post you the link in the chat there if you're on YouTube as well. But that's exciting, guys. It's all on Pulse Chain. Bang, bang, Lake Gang, Frank White's in the house. The Pulse Chain ecosystem king. So that is the new wallet there. I didn't put a little preview, but that's the idea. We're 142 minutes in the hour on this mega live stream. And that is the big news. So, we've got so much good stuff to talk about today, isn't it? Crazily good. But there is LibertySwap. That is the launch there of their ZK wallet on everywhere, basically. And so the DeFi and the richness of this, now that they've rolled this out, where it's basically everywhere, is they're going to have everything. Everything is going to be everywhere. Don't you love that? I just made this up. I mean, honestly, LibertySwap should hire me as their promo guy. I'm just kidding, but that is pretty cool. So that is the play there. I feel like a little jingle coming on. Like, was it 2.5 Children, or whatever it is? Damn show. Was it 2.5 Adults? And I can't remember what it's called, but something like that. People are going to kill me for that. All right, so we got how to set up the wallet on your phone without needing any app store while still getting the same experience as using the uncensorable app. So that's kind of cool. We got a little video there too. I won't watch that. We won't watch that now, but you can go watch that. Shielding and unshielding railgun balances. I got a little video on that too. And this is a little picture at least, so it's kind of cool. Pulse Vision says, will you bring the wallet to the App Store for downloading as well? Now, obviously, the App Stores are very key because obviously there's huge users there, even if they're just surfing through or want a new wallet, or if they hear about ZKX somewhere and they want to go check it on the Apple Store to make sure they're downloading it from the right place. Then that's a huge market, massive market, right? And so they'll be on there. So yeah, absolutely. We're currently handling the paperwork to incorporate ZKX wallet and open a business account. No distribution channel is being ignored, and so the ramp up for this is massive potentially, right? Talking about 195 countries or so in the world. I think it's 194 or something like that. And then you got blockchains, getting to dozens of blockchains, multi-chain solution. So world domination, why not? All right, so that's kind of cool. Ledger doesn't work. They've got a few little things there. You can go check that out. What else? yeah, so just a few little questions there in the chat there. I don't think we're going to go too much past that. I do like some of the updates there. So that is the big news there. And I'm going to scroll down here because we got more updates. I'm going to minimize the screen there because I've gone a bit crazy with that. But let's scroll back down here a little bit and see what else they've got over the last sort of day. We like to cover their latest updates. We don't go through everything, of course, because they do a lot of replies. So 10 hours ago, that was the big update. Did we have an update before that? Don't know. It's 10 hours. Let's just start 10 hours. So they had the update live 10 hours ago. They had a few little video stuff there. From now on, ZKX Wallet and all Liberty products can roll out feature updates more frequently through web distribution model. Beautiful, right? That's a beautiful thing. Without being dependent on App Store review cycles, this allows us to maintain our in-wallet app front end and preserve full functionality, including integrations with Railgun project, while avoiding unnecessary feature restrictions that can sometimes come with App Store listing requirements. So, you always get the issue there. It also enables faster and safer iteration on new products such as Liberty Perpetuals, outcome markets, and other DeFi features. And this is key, right? So that's key. And you guys know that Perpetuals are coming next month in July with a more flexible deployment process. So kind of cool. Daily releases of products and features lead to better product development. They certainly do. So very cool. Just have a look through some of these. So you can go look through some of the little fine print, little questions and stuff that they have. What else have we got there? $10. My favorite crypto wallet is now available on every device. Certainly is. Just a great start. From now on, we can release all new features, build a ton of new features, etc. There we are. I think we answered that one there, didn't we, already? All right, so let's keep scrolling up here. Users can have as many ZK wallets, so you can have as many as you want now on their phone as they want. Just remember to back up your seed phrases for all your wallets. So here's an example of 6 different wallets. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. Later, we will work on a local front end, making ZKX wallet uncensorable. The idea is that even if ZKX wallet and LibertySwap are gone, you can bring your entire wallet back with just a domain or a local app running on your computer. That's important. All right, so what else there we got there? Currently handling the paperwork to incorporate, so obviously getting on the main platforms. 8 hours ago, and this is the fiat on ramp. So we're expecting all this to come in July, right? So spot perpetuals, stock market trading, or at least buying stock market assets, all that stuff, as well as the fiat on ramp and mobile. Obviously released today. Now that Peer X, so this is the DeFi solution here. I think it's mostly on base chain, remember rightly. Permissionless and a composable on-off ramp protocol, zero friction conversion to Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Revolut. So this is very important, obviously. Wise and more. The core component of the Peer extension that enables users to approve transactions on Peer XYZ and ProveX with ZKTLS has been rebuilt on AWS Nitro enclaves, and bringing Peer XYZ to mobile is finally within your reach. So that's a big game changer there. Meanwhile, LibertySwap and ZKX Wallet are on track for a July release with a strong focus on UI, user experience, privacy, and seamless on-off ramp solutions for Pulse Chain, which we will believe will also include centralized change options as well as all of these cash apps and fiat on ramps. So awesome, we're getting everything, guys, and it's still with the DeFi and privacy ethos there as well. From the fiat world into the DeFi world. It's kind of neat. So it's all happening. Very cool. All right. We got a few comments here. The Dr. Pigger, he likes it. Crypto Coffee in the mix as well. What else? 6 hours ago, our goal for ZKX Wallet is to deliver a downloadable front end, support for all hardware wallet types, a native Railgun integration on Pulse Chain, full open source release, and available everywhere. Give us until May 2027 to complete this. We've got full open source releases, they said, within a year. So it's still to come out there. A native Railgun that's coming soon this year. I guess we'll get through most of that. All right, so what else? Got some more feedback from people. They've got a new Explorer coming, so it's kind of cool. I don't think they've talked about this before from memory. A new Explorer is coming with Pulse Chain, multi-chain, and Railgun supports. So that's going to be there as well. So they're going to have their own Explorer. Very cool. More Explorers, the better, right? What else? I think that's it, guys. So that is the big update from LibertySwap. So pretty awesome. Congratulations to the team. And that is the link to it. And of course, download, test it out. There's quite a few people like Crypto Coffee and others that are testing public wallets, showing you how to use it. But now it's everywhere, and you've got no problems there. Massive updates are going to be in that wallet next month, in particular with a lot of extra DeFi, and no doubt we'll have all the LibertySwap products there directly showcasing in that front end wallet. Plus, if you go to the DApp section. We got Freeband in the house there. Hey, Freeband, welcome. Hey there, Superman. I'm starting to really understand how in depth and full of your wisdom and live streams are. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, like anybody, don't get everything right, but we try to keep on the money there. On the money. All right, so that is kind of cool. That is LibertySwap on the move. Kind of cool. So we're getting everything. There's the website. Isn't that cool? Got the privacy features. Nice. Switch between public and private in a single tap. A full DeFi toolkit, very important is going to be, right? So not just a wallet, send and receive, swap and bridge, shield and unshield, wallet connect, portfolio apps, and the apps are going to have a lot of stuff in there, I think, and it's all going to be pre-securitized, so you're going less chance of getting ripped off by phishing scams and things. Extensions and web app, one account, always one click away. Your command center, looking good, and security, you can verify, not just believe. Take your privacy back. So that is from LibertySwap, and this is a great launch. First launch there, kind of cool. All right, so we're going to jump away from that now. We're doing a mega theme. We've got 9 minutes to go through the monster thread. We've got the hottest Pulse Chain news over the last week, guys. This just got out last night. The editor-in-chief is MBS Crypto, and if you're not following him, give him a follow. He's the editor-in-chief of the Monster Thread. The Monster Thread is an official publication of the Kryptonite Show, and we have a great team here, and it is pretty much the anchor news publication on Pulse Chain, and we're excited to bring it every single week. 60 weeks now, guys. Can you believe it? And consistency is the key, right? Being consistent, and we're here every day virtually, and every week producing this Monster Thread. So it's a privilege to do it. And if you're a team out there, you want to get noticed, you want to get brand awareness, then hit us up, and you can get included here as well. It is a professional publication out every single week, and it's really, really fun to do that. Now, if you want to onboard people, this is ideal. The Monster Thread is ideal because people are going to get to know all the faces that are doing news. It is a very neutral publication, so if you're doing stuff, you'll get included in there. And also, we have a whole ton of top DeFi projects on here as well, so you won't miss a beat in Pulse Chain, and it's perfect for onboarding there as well. And if you're busy in Pulse Chain, you're a real hardcore Pulse Chain person, and you want to keep up with the news, this is perfect for you as well. So you can share it, and you can read it yourself. Pretty awesome every single week. 60 weeks now, guys. I mean, it's a non-trivial event. Pretty awesome. So onwards and upwards. We're in the second year. Can you believe it? Second year. It's crazy. Number 60. Let's put that in. Bam. Manatok says, thank you, Superman. Blessings. I appreciate that. Blessings to you as well. Very, very cool. That is the Monster Thread there. So give it a good read and share it around. That's pretty much it. Great for onboarding. And there's 60 weeks of those now. Typically getting around about 35 to 50,000 views a week. And this is in a bear market, so you can imagine a bull market. It's going to be game on there. All right, so let's go through it. Richard's mission, liberty and privacy, Keystone wallets incoming, and more monster news. And of course, this is just for the week ending yesterday, I guess, the last 7 days. Check out Emmet Farm and a True DeFi for the best farming options. So if you're after high DeFi yield, Emmet Farm and True DeFi are the ones that are offering those high APRs. Check them out today. Emmet and True Farm are the tokens. Now, the first news story, of course, is Richard's mission. We always lead off with Richard because he is the founder of the Pulse Chain and also the visionary leader, right? And so we always start off with a story from Richard. Richard's story this week is, I've decided it's not my mission in life to gather the bad news of the world and deliver it to you. It's doom scrolling with extra steps. I will focus on building building the good of the world. This leads to glory. And of course, we all know Richard Art's after glory, not on the time frame that everyone might want, but that is his still pursuit. And he confirmed that not just this week, but also in his Christmas video last year, when he says, I'm more interested in Pulse Chain season than altcoin season, and that he is still seeking out for the glory there as well, because he's got everything else he needs. And once he gets free of some of the other things that he's got to go, he'll be, I'm sure, back for another round. LibertySwap and privacy. We just talked about LibertySwap, of course, with their big launch. LibertySwap announced a new upcoming website this week. We just looked at that. And of course, ZKX wallet will be available everywhere. And we just looked at that is launched now. So good timing there. Just launched just after the publication. How about that? So big news there from LibertySwap. Now, if you can all the links to these stories are below. So you can check the Richard Hart one, for example. That's Richard's story there. So they're all linked to the sources. Global tablet network. Now, you guys know that the promo tablets have been ramping up and they've just been slowly getting out to more and more people in the most craziest of places. And that's not changing this week. So Prayer Banana rallied the community to help distribute Pulse Chain tablets in the UK, USA, and Europe. Now, these guys, a couple of weeks ago, they had about 18 hubs across 18 states in America, kind of thing. They are going to, it looks like they're going to full coverage of the whole United States. So a hub in every state, at least maybe a couple of hubs in states, but they are on the move. So if you want to contribute to doing promo, maybe it's just having a dispatch area, people can come pick up in your state or something, or city, or if you're going to go and distribute maybe your local block or maybe down at the fair, all sorts of really different places you can hand out these Pulse Chain promo tabs, right? So a great way of onboarding, and it's just sort of sowing the seeds out there with this approach. Now you can contact a Wildish Day, which obviously is the Positivity Princess. She's been doing a lot of hard work in the Hive. The Hive is the big warehouse in California, which is receiving a lot of these by ships, etc., and then dispatching them out to the hubs around the US and other countries. And you can fill out a form at RS Griffin. RS Griffin is the nonprofit that is organizing all this. So you can check that out and fill out a form and become a hub today. So pretty cool. That was from Prayer Banana, of course, is the leading quant influencer for PGC, the Greys. And he's got that out there too. So pretty cool. And you can see a little bit of the map there. Look at that. It's got little dots for all the hubs. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty cool. And Europe's got some now too. Look at that. It's kind of cool. It's funny. It looks like it's split between East and West, doesn't it? The old Cold War. Welcome to Pulse Chain, guys. That is pretty cool. So that was a pretty cool one there. Keystone wallets are incoming. Now, Keystone wallets, Pulse Chain branded Keystone wallet orders are now in manufacturing, on track to be ready by the end of June. So that was bullish news. And of course, this is something that LibertySwap's helped to organize. And the community voted for the best version. And I think this is the one too. I voted for this too. And it's got the cool Pulse Chain colors and that on the little hardware device. Pretty good. You see the little LibertySwap logo there too. Very cool. So those are being manufactured and hitting the market. Pretty cool. 3 or 4 weeks, apparently. 3 or 4 weeks to go. Positive net inflows. Well, we did have around 300K. We checked that today. That was true. We've had more than outflows, so it's still been a positive month, even though we're back down at the lows there. But that's 6.7 million bridged into network over the last 30 days. So that's June the 29th there, the update there. So there's a little bit of glimmer there. We got the Clarity Act hearing. So obviously this is a big deal moving forward for the whole crypto market and, of course, for Pulse Chain as well. And that is the Clarity Act. So the U.S. House Committee schedules Crypto Clarity Act hearing for July the 17th. And we want this done by the first week of August because they go into recess. I think they're back in September and then they go recess again for October, I believe. And then, of course, we've got the midterms in November. So there's a lot of campaigning leading into that as well. So that's kind of the play. So yeah, we really, we want to get this done. Good news there. So hopefully we'll get that. So that's kind of where we are right now. Just a moment. I've just got someone's at the door. Just got to answer this. Just a moment. Well, that's pretty funny. I had a courier at the front door, so he kept knocking and making a noise, so I had to answer it. All right, so there we go. We got the fast delivery. Someone sent me something? Oh, no. All right, so Clarity Act's coming through, 17th of July. We want to get that through. Obviously, bullish news. That opens up all the regulations. Innovation can be in the United States. There's so many benefits there. Obviously, banking system will be more involved. Crypto and bank accounts, all that sort of stuff. So, pretty big deal there. Crypto, of course, is moving ahead with that, without that, but it would be a big deal moving forward. Obviously, the US has got the biggest markets, biggest capital flows, and just makes everything a lot easier there. All right. Now we've got DeFi on Pulse Chain. Now for crypto. So the DeFi, True DeFi is a pretty special group on Pulse Chain. They're offering kind of this managed funds on Pulse Chain. So it's a new approach, and it's pretty exciting to see them there. They're also running the DeFi on Pulse Chain X Spaces, which is really exciting, and I'd love to see this grow. So if you guys want to get into DeFi on Pulse Chain, you want to get into hearing from the founders themselves, this is a great venue. It's generally pretty constructive and positive, and so you're going to hear all the insights, and of course maybe get a front run on a bit of news. So it's definitely good to join up there. So they got DeFi on Pulse Chain Spaces featuring the founders, and of course they had looks like they had Liquid Liberty there, True DeFi, Emmett Farms. They had Token Haven, which I believe is a property tokenization project on Pulse Chain. So it's kind of cool. And they also had many other special guests in there, including Curve. I think this is the one that does, not sure if this is the property one or no, yes, I think it's the property one as well, tokenization. And of course they had Rhinify, which is a niche treasury play on Pulse Chain, one of the better small teams out there as well. That's growing, so it's kind of cool. And then they also had Crypto Basics as well. So they had quite a few teams in there for X Spaces. And of course, it's DeFi and Pulse Chain. So big shout out to Neil. Neil is one of the two main leaders. I think there's three altogether. There's Daniel, of course, and Neil, the key founders there, and of course, Executioner as well. So it's a big shout out to those teams there. Doing a great job every week that DeFi Space is on as well. Then we got some of the YouTubers. We got Main Gang Crypto and Sick Alpha influencers there. Also dropped episode 18 of the Trench Capital, covering Bitcoin, Stretch, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Pulse Chain. So you can go check that out as well. So there we go. That's tick near. They got their broadcast. You got What the Hex, another influencer, DJ Cryptomatic, who does awesome DJ shows. If you haven't checked that out, does amazing DJ shows. And he hosted episodes 172 of What the Hex. And he had Papa Bona, who's kind of the OG that covers security in crypto. He's the kind of the main person there. And of course, Brandon, the founder of SwitchX and SwitchXFi, our latest V4 AMM, and of course he gives a breakdown of Switch, of course, which is one of our top DEX aggregators right now and swapping sites. So pretty awesome there. And of course, Brandon also one of the biggest influencers in the Pulse Chain, but also runs a development site, Build the Tech, which builds out a lot of projects on Pulse Chain and Ethereum. Wicked Pulse Chain Agents is a bit of a play. Now, I say that the biggest lacking area that I think we're going to have moving forward is AI. It's the biggest opportunity field moving forward. But we do have a few players playing around here. OG Tangent, another influencer in Pulse Chain, and of course used to do a lot of TA stuff. Is now obviously a big leader of the WIC AI. They have some breakthroughs. So he's got a couple of videos there, just breaking down some of the breakthroughs they're having with their AI projects. If you want to learn about that, go and check it out. But that's from Tangent there. So big shout out to him. It's certainly an area that's is kind of the last main area that I can see, and an area that is just starting to get a little bit of attention there with Tangent. So that's kind of cool. Quantum Raffle, Tanto Nomini, so basically Dip Catcher is the name, much easier to say. He's obviously famed along with Goldkey for during the bear market. It's a real heavy part of the bear market that we had. We had two main teams that were building out on Hex. One was Goldkey and Dip Catcher with the Maximus projects. Now they hold the second biggest Hex stakes out in the future, past in was it 30, 34, somewhere like that. Along with the Hex God Whale, they got these big Hex stakes out there. They're going to be the two giants. So the Maximus staking pools and the other projects that they have are also running, with different time periods. But the 15-year one is way out there, and that is the Maximus. They also are running FlexNex, right? So Dipcatcher is building FlexNex. It's kind of a second layer on top of Hex on the Ethereum chain. And their labs is rolling out Quantum Raffle, which is basically the V2 version. It's going to allow sort of prediction markets. So we've seen a couple of small players going in prediction markets. We've seen LibertySwap do Hyperliquid with a big prediction market. And now we've got, on the Ethereum chain prediction markets coming through this quantum raffle. This will open up a number of applications. And of course, this is going to be launched on Ethereum. Previously tested on Pulse Chain, so presumably it's going to be on Pulse Chain as well, I guess, in the future. Although FlexNex is really, adding value to Hex in their second layer type system on the Ethereum chain. So this is building on, I guess, that the maximum staking projects that they did with the staking pools. Some of the, I think they've got some lists here. The goal with this is to create a compounding speculative game on chain with prizes rivaling Powerball, WSOP, Squid Games, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, The Masters, and other iconic big games. So you can kind of see where he's looking there. Main net testing has occurred over the past few weeks, with the UI being finalized now, etc. So you can see FlexNex is ramping up there. Now, he had a bit of a fundraising for this with token allocation, and you can see some further information there as well. Now, I did ask him whether it's going to be on Pulse Chain. He hasn't replied to that, but hopefully he does give a response there. He's obviously not responded to that, but we'll see what happens there. All right, we got Crispy Report. We got Hexfire. Obviously, one of our two. We got two main Hex quants, right? We got Ben Sierra does weekly and monthly reports on Hex, and we also have Crispy Man who does YouTube videos on his Hex T-share report. Obviously, pretty well known crypto OG as well. So he's dropped a Hex T-share report, walled garden of Hex mining. So you can go check that out from Crispy Man, get the latest on Hex on the deep dive. And like I say, the other complimentary person is Ben Sierra as well. And you can sort of see some of the stuff here. Got all the charts with the T-shares and everything else. So he's kind of one of the two gurus there. Umbra Dex aggregator. So yeah, we've talked about a lot of the big blue chip players in the Dex and Dex aggregator space these days, but we do have a lot of smaller players also contributing. And Giga the Minter, one of the big trading guys, and so they do smart trading. He's come in with Umbra, so a new Dex aggregator with advanced routing, excellent tax token support, and strong security audits there. So Giga the Minter in there. I think he also has a few other products like I think an Explorer or something like that as well. So yeah, he's been working on Dex aggregators, also getting in the space there. Pretty big, sizable, personality in the X spaces as well. Does a lot of comments in there too. Is kind of known for trading, I think. So they're at umbra.finance.swap. We'll have a quick look at some of the images there. Gives you the swap there on his website. And that's playing there. So they've also got a stats page there as well. Let's have a quick look, Let's have a quick look while we're here. Since we're doing a mega live stream, we've got stats up the top here. So they've had $8,600 in volume. Like I say, smaller player, but we'll see where it goes. He's quite well known, so we'll keep watching out for that. But that is a new Dex aggregator there. Obviously, do your own financial due diligence, not financial advice, all that good stuff. Pulse Chain birthday boys. Well, we got other influencers in the house as well. Crypto Chat 7 and Maddie Allen celebrated their birthdays this week. Best wishes to the OGs. So Crypto Chat 7 had a live stream on that, so you can go check that out. He's arguably the biggest influencer in the UK, a very consistent Pulse Chain streamer, and he is had a birthday there. So go check out that birthday stream there. Have Hex and Pulse Chain bottom for my birthday. And that is the play there. The other one, of course, is Maddie Allen, obviously famed for holding all the Hex and Pulse Chain conferences. What's he also launched? Was it Good Die? Yeah, Good Die. We got Live for My Birthday Crypto Talk, and he's also got his broadcast there. I'm not sure if that's a video yet. It's a video there as well. So that's Maddie Allen there as well, obviously. Ticking away there. I still think he's trying to sell his DeLorean, isn't he not? I think he's trying to sell his DeLorean. I think so. I think that's the case. Even Richard Hart said happy birthday. How about that? That's pretty nice. So Richard Hart giving happy birthday there. Not bad there as well. All right. So that is birthday boys. Brisbane Crypto Meetup. So, I think what did we talk about up here? We had something up here. Where was it? I thought we had a thing up there, but can't see it. We got Brisbane Crypto Meetup. So Coexistence 7, another Pulse Chain influencer. He invites the Pulse Chain community to attend the Australian DeFi Meetup in Fortitude Valley, Brisbane on July the 4th. So they've been doing, these DeFi meetups. Obviously, a lot of Pulse Chain people there, but I think they have other people from other chains as well in the DeFi community. It's kind of a little bit more generic, but there is a lot of pulse chain people there, and that is coming up as well. So if you are able to attend that, then hit them up there and go join. All right, skate park kickflip. Now, get in the chat there if you guys have skaters and you know how to do a kickflip. Let us know. Let us know if you can. But we got Eddie Hadvina distributed pulse chain promo tablets at a skate park, and I think that's hilarious, right? So there's no place where you can't distribute these pulse chain promo tablets, right? So we've got a cool picture here of his, his son there doing a little iPad. Now, I actually believe he was pretty entrepreneurial. He actually sold the tablet for $5. This little kid here sold the tablet for $5 there, lol, in the play there. So that's pretty hilarious. But they were handing out tablets in skate park for free anyway. So hey, kids are entrepreneurial. Maybe they got it for free and then they sold it on. This is the way it goes. But look, pulse chain tablets are going everywhere in all sorts of places. So skate parks and rollerblades are not immune there. So it was pretty cool. Now we do have some honorable mentions, and these are kind of where not so much news or community stories, but actually where people are doing things that are not news or community, but are kind of inspiring or upbeat. We have Crypto Bella, one of our top female influencers there, and she says glitter pants have arrived. So let's go have a look at her glitter pants. But she's also wearing a very cool Pulse Chain t-shirt. Look at that with the old Richard Hart and all the tokens there. But there's her glitter pants. And, every girl's got to have a glitter pants. Maybe a few of the guys have got glitter pants. But there we go. She's rocking those, pretty proud. So there we go. All right, we got Suzanne Hexkin. We saved a dog. Welcome Pippa to the family. Well, rescuing dogs, that's a good thing. Suzanne says, family update. This little buddy showed up at my terrace 3 days ago. He was hungry and beaten up by the adult stray dogs around my house. Pretty sad. We adopted him and called him Pepper. Today, he is already part of the team. Welcome to the team, Pepper there. And there we go. Last time we covered dogs was the old Bria, wasn't it? The old Bria dog there from Rackham Shell's wife. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. We got little dog there, Jen. Jen had a dog, Bria. And now we've got this Pepper dog. There we go. Pepper playing around. And look, Pepper's living in paradise, guys. Pepper's living in paradise. So there we go. That's not bad. Pepper's a very happy dog now. It's going from there's Peppy with a couple other dogs. So there we go. I don't know if they own all those dogs, but there's a couple of dogs there and living in paradise now. So you can't ask much better for that. That is a good news story there. And it feels good. Feels good. All right, so let's just jump back, and we've also got a third one here. This is Christy Todd, another female influencer in the house. We've got quite a few female influencers in the honorable mentions today. Reminder to touch some grass, and this is just a reminder that you can spend a lot of time in crypto and get a bit worked up, especially when markets are down, and also to get out there and live life, right? Get out and about. And so, good morning, Metaverse. Don't forget to touch some grass today. That's some great advice there, and that's there we go. That's from Christy Todd. And of course, at some point, fitness shops, what stops being something you do becomes someone you are, says there we go. Not sure if I necessarily agree with that, but it's certainly important to be fit and healthy and get out and about. Penguin in the house there, fresh from the Trust there shirt from Pulse Chain Store. So obviously Pulse Chain Store, one of our top merch, if not the top merch there, giving away thousands of free merch. And it looks like Penguin's there is rocking one of the Zero shirts there. Trust nothing, verify everything there. And of course, Zero Trust tied into the old Peacock system, essentially doing a lot of DeFi dApps. I think there are about a dozen, maybe 10 of them. And they also do Pulse Chain news as well and crypto news. So Zero Trust there, rocking that. Looks pretty good. So if you want to get a t-shirt, there we go. That's a good example. Now, we do have the best DeFi of the week as well. We've got VersaVault. Now, this is brand new. You guys not heard about this? I bet most of you haven't, but you do now. So Triple Dad, you've probably heard of Triple Dad. He's pretty much one of the most regular influencers on Pulse Chain. Great guy. Loves the stogies, smoking the stogies with the lads. There's a lot of that. Fast Abdul, they get on the show, smoke the stogies. Borrow against your crypto at 0% interest forever. Now, obviously, Triple Dad is leader in the Magic Upride team. They got some liquidity fund ends for liquid loans and things like that. They got their own incentive pools. And now they're launching VersaVault, which I think is awesome, guys. This, I think, is a big deal. I'd love to see this grow at scale because it has the potential to do. It's an idea I've had a long time in my own head about this. and that is you'll be able to put in any crypto, I think, from this. I'm not sure if there's a limit on it. And I guess it has to have certain qualities. I don't know. We're going to find out more about this in the coming weeks. But this is potentially another blue chip project landing on Pulse Chain. So it's great to be talking about it. And you'll be able to issue a stablecoin. I believe the stablecoin is called VSD, so VersaVault stablecoin, or stable dollar, we should say. And it's coming up there. So we're going to have a quick look at that. But VersaVault is coming, guys. Awesome stuff. If you haven't followed it, give it a follow. It's only just launched. So this is hitting brand new, guys. So we're just it hasn't even launched. We're kind of pre-running it here, but definitely VersaVault coming from Triple Dad. Put your crypto in, 0 interest, no fee, and of course get a stable coin. Could be very advantageous tax-wise. Obviously you got to check that out, but that could be pretty cool. We also got some other projects there. KC Crypto 369 released more updates on the Morbius token analyzer. So if you want to analyze tokens on Pulse Chain, around security and wallet holders and stuff like that, that's really cool to check out, including Hex specific insights. So you can check out KC Crypto there, that otherwise known as Fire Kyle. He's running Morbius, which is pretty much our leading gaming platform right now, along with Firewall. And of course, we're going to have probably a couple more in due course, but certainly an emerging sector there is gaming. We got Switch.win, obviously from Brandon, unlock effortless trading with Switch. We got obviously more information on page 3 there of the monster thread. PulseX app there, obviously one of our 2 big validators. We always talk about Vouch all the time, but Validator X is out there. Continues to grow, over 2,560 validators securing Pulse Chain with 82 billion Pulse and 66 billion up Pulse there, or UPulse there. Now we know, I think UPulse, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if that's Vouch actually, we might move on. We got True DeFi at the moment, 490 billion reasons to pay attention. Now I talked about True DeFi a bit earlier with the X spaces running the DeFi, but True DeFi has basically the concepts are you can 2x your Pulse bags with their approach to fund management. And they've already had 1,700 people already double their Pulse bags in that time. And I think how long have they been around for? 4 months, something like that. 4 months, something in that ballpark. The 490 billion reasons to pay attention. And so they have these auctions where you can go in, and that can, if you get on a good day, because it advances your path to 2x Pulse. And they do a lot of investing. They have a SRE fund that goes around investing in the top farms, earning high yields and pushing that money back in to the protocol, as well as the system bots that take over the system more and help that to propel that even further towards the 2x minus. Kind of the basic overview, but they're doing a great job. They're True DeFi, and they've got True Farms as well, which is offering high DeFi yield. We've also got Whale Pulse. He's got 15,000 followers. Now, Whale Pulse, as you guys know, runs Pulse alerts. So everyone's pretty familiar with that. They give all the alerts around the big burns and the big bridging and everything else happening on Pulse Chain, the big price increases or decreases. And of course, they've launched a new product called AppHex Radar, a live Pulse Chain swap feeding displayed real-time token trades. Now, to get access to that, there is a token, so you have to get one of those. I think it's only 50 of them, so it's pretty exclusive. Live Pulse Chain swap feed displaying real-time token trades there. So congratulations to Whale Pulse. And finally, the Crypto Night Show. Hey! Daily shows with Crypto Night with Superman and the community shout-outs as well. We shout a lot there as well. Now, here's some of the key pictures today. So we've got Magic. We've got Alpha Baller and MGC in the house. There, it's a great show. Go check that out. They have a great discuss a lot of topics there. And then we obviously have Bella as well with her glittering pants and the cool T-shirt. We obviously have the promo pads going out with the skateboards there, as well as the big DJ Cryptomatic interview with Brandon, along with Papa Bowen there. So that's pretty insightful too around SwitchX. You want to gain a bit more insight around one of our biggest DEXs and DEX aggregators, then definitely check out that too with Brandon. So pretty cool. But we do have a lot more there. So VersaVault, if you want to get into the details, we have page 2. Breaks down to this new project launching from Triple Dad. This, I think, is a game changer, guys. Borrow against your crypto at 0% interest forever. I can't wait to see it launch. Deposit assets into your own non-custodial vault. Mint USD pegged stablecoin, which I believe is called VSD, and no recurring interest ever. Pretty awesome. So I think this could be really crazy popular. So we're going to watch to see this grow. There's also staking rewards and farm for extra yield as well. So there's a couple of applications there you can do to get yield off it. So it's coming soon, guys. VesaVault from Triple Dad. I'm excited about this. I think this is just a no-brainer, and great to see this being offered. So pretty cool. So you can put all these different tokens in there and issue stablecoins underneath there. So that's number 2. Page 3 is covering SwitchX from Brandon, one of our top DEX and DEX aggregators. And they've, of course, they've got SwitchX Fi as well. And they're obviously just getting incredible. You can probably save, $10 to $100 depending on how much volume you're going through the aggregators. And that's pretty powerful, right? So you're just definitely saving on that, maximizing your trades. They also have limit orders as well, so you can set limit orders, one of our blue chip offerings for that. And we saw that video with Brandon as well, doing that latest interview there. You can watch the full interviews below with DJ Cryptomatic if you want to check that out. But SwitchX.win is the DEX aggregator, one of our top blue chips, and SwitchX Fi, they're one of our top AMMs, bring V4 technology, so you can have automated liquidity management. So pretty cool stuff there from the team. So, blue chips here, guys. These are all blue chip projects about to drop. It's going to be pretty awesome. I think we got another one here. No, I can't remember what that link. So some of the links occasionally will break, but those are to page 3, and I think we got page 4 here somewhere. Let's see, where's page 4 here? Page 4 somewhere. We got coming down. I'm sure we got page 4 here. So let's go back to my page. We've got page 4 down here somewhere. Page 4, boom, there it is there. So page 4, 490 billion reasons to pay. This is True DeFi doing managed funds approach to 2x your pulse miners. 490 billion pulse deposited indicates around half the people are probably silently 2xing their pulse. I like that. 1,700 people have already doubled their 2x of their pulse bags. Kind of cool. So definitely worth checking out. Get into Telegram. It's definitely one of the hottest communities on Pulse Chain. If you're thinking about the big communities these days, like PDI, it's like PDC the Greys, it's like True DeFi, it's like Emmett Farms. These are kind of the big, hot communities where a lot of activity is going on. If you're wondering where all the action is at, that's all the action is at. Not all blue chip projects on Pulse Chain have big communities active, and it's probably maybe a third of them that have probably got active communities. Interesting enough, and I should know because I'm in there every day. I'm there every day, and most of the groups at least once a week. So there we go. That is pretty cool. So that is from True DeFi. I love this little image here too. True DeFi's here with was it the Richard guy from what's that movie with Jim Carrey? The one with the false reality. I've just forgotten the name of it, but it's got the guy running the show, isn't it? But there it is. True DeFi yield isn't luck; it's engineered. So if you want that managed approach, obviously do your due diligence. Then get into the Telegram here for True DeFi, and you can find out all about how to 2x your pulse miners there and how they're all going. So they do run the X Spaces every week, but they also in Telegram constantly in the Telegram chats. So they've got a live audio chat that you can talk with the founders and find out everything about that. So kind of cool. I just basically said new approach to manage funds of DeFi, and it's on Pulse Chain. So kind of cool to have that service available if that's something that suits you. So it's kind of cool. And then finally, we've got number 5, which is the TKS. We do have hot communities this week. So we've got ZKP, you've got Leets of them, Zero, Curve, Liberty, Peacock, Smilex, Pulse Guy, Bria, Pit, Wick, Top Hat, Think, all projects that are offering different values there. And then, of course, we have some big interviews we've done on the Crypto Night Show. Fat Sammy, we interviewed him on Pulse Bitcoin. We interviewed Jexa on Vouch, one of these 2 big public validated projects, offering lots of yield opportunities there. Emmett Farm with Kairos, arguably the top farm on Pulse Chain, with the broadest amount of pools that you can go earn high APRs. Incredible tokenomics. I mean, the Kairos really is changed the game in that front. And then, of course, Amiga DAO Finance, one of the hottest DeFis to launch recently with the Cabal King, with technology there from, I think, it was Nexi on this one. So lots of opportunities there. And, of course, a big wink and a smile from me. Well, the cartoon version of me. And another reality. All right, so there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. 2 hours and 23 minutes. It's been a mega stream. I haven't done a stream this long for a little while. We did a couple of 2-hour streams, I think, last week. But man, there's just so much going on with the markets. It's a crazy time. So yeah, we're in the hunt for the bottom in many regards for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for Pulse Chain. And we've got some of the most glorious things happening, fundamental re-rate with stablecoins, tokenization, and AI. We are downstream from the stock market AI in many regards, so we should get a bit of quite a strong rotation from there at some stage as well. We've got a lot of regulation coming in our favor potentially. Obviously, that can go both ways. So we're looking forward to that, hunting that Clarity Act, and of course the US government, whether they decide to get acts through where they can buy budget neutral Bitcoin. That's a game changer as well. That's a whole nother level. Of course, the US government gets in, everybody's in, right? Everybody's in. So we're going to watch that too. Hopefully that unfolds in the months ahead. Yeah, we got all the right things happening. Oil prices coming down. We've got manufacturing. We're going to watch that this week. Big deal. That's another leading indicator for crypto. Obviously, manufacturing US. We are getting a technological revolution. We're in that phase of the intelligence age. Depends on your cycles, but either the fourth or fifth industrial revolution, and the US are leading that. Obviously, China's playing a role in a few other countries, but big time in the US there. Massive data centers being set up, right? Massive energy being rolled out, gas turbines, nuclear, micro-nuclear to support these big data centers, and it's only just the beginning. And we've got the space age and robotic age at our doorstep, kicking off particularly strong next year. I would say next year is going to be absolutely fundamental. We're going to have probably our first mass production lines, possibly by the end of the year into next year, with humanoid robots and quasi-humanoid robots. But it's going to be so different. It's going to be so different there. And of course, a lot of applications like data centers in space at scale. So we really are, things are really going to be crazy the next 2 to 10 years as we roll out through this intelligence age. And you guys are all here early at the right time, right place. And we got the right kind of leadership in Trump and his supply side administration. And that's hyper bullish to realize all these gains, right? Giving us a safe and prosperous environment for that to occur. Obviously, dealing with some long-term issues which needed to be settled, like the World Trade Order last year and the Iranian nuclear issue this year, which has been obviously not great for us in terms of markets, but actually better for the world moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, smash the follow on X, and repost the show. And I'll catch you guys again for another day tomorrow. Take care, everybody, and bye for now.